Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Minato Namikaze wanted to protect the future of Naruto and made a deal with Shinigami Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. You've got to start thinking about contingency plans, Minato. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in his former office, enjoying the view from the opposite side of the chair for once. Sitting in a nondescript black shirt and pants, carrying no weapons pouch, the tan and wrinkled old man took a pull on his pipe. We don't know if there will be an attack or not, and if there is, you might need to make the ultimate sacrifice to reseal the fox. Hiruzen's voice was grave as he faced the newly minted 4th Hokage, leader of Konoha. A large white trench coat covered the man's form, flames dancing at the sleeves' edges and bottom lines. A blonde head of hair was partially hidden by the pyramid hat marking his station. Blue eyes, uncharacteristically filled with worry, gazed through the blonde hair, piercing Sarutobi where he sat. "You're right, but I'm not quite sure what I should plan for." Sarutobi sighed at Minato's response. While the boy was indeed gifted, and a powerful shinobi, he could sometimes be a bit of a flake. Plan for the worst, as always. If you and Kushino were to die in an attack, how would the demon fox be sealed? And if your son was born, and you had to make him the Jinchuriki for the nine-tailed fox, with your and Kushina's likely passing, how would you safeguard his proper raising? Minato seemed to stiffen a bit at Sarutobi's questions. I guess he really hasn't planned that much out. Not surprising though. The armistice with IWA is being discussed at the moment. Sighing, the 4th Hokage turned in his chair and looked out over his village. I have a few months to get something ready, and Sarutobi is right. I think I'll need to meet with some of the clan heads. They will not like my plan, but they should go through with it if I suggest it ahead of time. Minato turned, and gave a slight smile to his longtime friend. I think I have an answer to that, but I'm going to have to keep it under wraps. I'll let you know if the worst is to happen. That is as it should be. I look forward to a long retirement, and I hope that my advice, in matters such as this, can help make it a permanent one. Sarutobi nodded as he stood and left the office. With any luck, I can get home to my painting now. The joys of retirement, nothing but painting and long morning naps. Several months later, October 11th. It came to this after all, Minato. You just couldn't keep me out of retirement longer than a few short years, eh? Sarutobi sat in his office, once more on the paperwork side of the desk, and looked at the small child that was left with him. There was a great grief in his voice, and weariness to his form, showing the truth to his 60-odd years of age. Alongside the small child, a seal prominent on his stomach, were 4 other youths, around the same age. Too young to remember what was about to happen, and each destined to become a member of one of the minor clans of the village. Now it just remains to be seen which one will watch over you. I wonder if it will be Shikaku or Choza who take you in. They both have surprisingly large hearts. The door opened behind him, and Sarutobi smiled at the appearance of a woman with spiky brown hair and slit eyes. Red markings appeared on her cheeks, and a slight frown etched across her lips. So Tsum, the Inuzuka, will bear this burden in secret then? Tsum nodded. She held out her hand, and the Hokage pricked her finger gently enough to gather the necessary amount of blood. The tiniest of pricks was applied to one of the sleeping children, and the boy amazingly grunted and did not cry out. Turning to the last child, the blonde one with whiskered markings and blue eyes staring at the old man, Sarutobi sighed. You will have to keep his name, you know. To keep his identity hidden, though, he will have to be raised without the moniker of Namikaze. Tsum eyed the Hokage carefully and nodded. I understand. His name will be Naruto Inuzuka, an adopted orphan. Sarutobi nodded at this. It is a name that has been given in the past of the Inuzuka, to represent the maelstrom of claws in Agatsuga, and will not stand out greatly. As he is to be raised in my clan, I will raise him as part of my family personally. Sarutobi smiled at this, turning to the young blonde child. With a prick of the boy's finger, the blood ran into him as well. The blonde seemed to tear slightly at this, but did not cry out. Your son is astounding, Minato, but it will be many years before he is known as the next Namikaze. Sarutobi and Tsum watched in interest as the boy's hair color and eyes changed slightly. He became closer in appearance to that of the Inuzuka. Tsum smiled, marveling at the wonders of their Hokage. His cheeks took on 3 red markings, similar to the normal clan markings but slightly different. His hair became a lighter blonde, closer to a dusty brown color. Yes, I believe he and Kiba will get along quite nicely as siblings. Though Kiba may be a bit put out when he's older and realizes he has a younger brother. Sarutobi chuckled as well, looking at the now changed youth. As with anything in the Leaf Village though, it is the older generation that watches over the newer. Thank you for your help, Tsum, and I hope the child is raised well in your care. Crossing his hands, several images resembling the child appeared. Please take Naruto with you, and your son. The others will be called in to pick up one of the doppelgangers. When you all leave, there will be likelihood of investigations by the villagers. Remind them that this is a topic that warrants death if discussed. Tsum nodded and bowed low to the Hokage. I will do as you ask, Lord Hokage. Naruto will be raised as part of the Inuzuka, and will become a great ninja under my watch. Two boys with spiky brown hair ran around an outside park. One had slitted brown irises, and the other blue. Both of them, though, were laughing as they joined the other children playing together on an afternoon day. The other distinguishing difference was the 3 red marks on each cheek of the blue-eyed boy and the 1 solid red triangle on the cheeks of the brown-eyed boy. Other than that, though, the two shared an uncanny similarity in looks. Come on, bro, you expect speed like that to be able to keep up with me? The boys were running through the park, playing a game of tag with some of the other kids. Kiba, stop running so fast. It's not my fault you're a year older than me, dang it. The blue-eyed boy put on a burst of speed to catch up to his older brother. Geez, Naruto, you still have energy left? You've been chasing me for almost an hour now. Naruto apparently did not hear his brother as he picked up his speed again and gave a flying tackle, dragging the older boy to the ground. Rolling and tumbling, the two began to wrestle on the ground, fighting with each other. Did you have to tackle me, you little pipsqueak? Naruto for his part gave his older brother a smug look as he placed him in a chokehold. I may be a pipsqueak, but I'm still stronger and can run faster than you, Kiba. The older boy struggled for a bit, and finally sighed in defeat. Fine, you win this round. Now come on, the others are waiting. Naruto nodded and let his brother rise to his feet. Kiba! Naruto! Come on, we have to go home. Mom's got dinner waiting for you. Both boys flinched at the call of an older girl from the other side of the park. Man, why does Hana always have to ruin our fun, huh? Kiba shook his head at his younger brother and ruffled his hair a bit. Sorry guys, we'll catch up with you later, okay? A group of kids called farewells to the two as they left the park. Hana looked down at the two of them smiling and pulled them both into a hard hug. Ah, sis, get off. You always do stuff like this. Kiba complained and tried to pull away, as did Naruto. What, I'm not allowed to show a little affection to my little brothers? Besides, looks like you two are becoming quite the schoolyard favorites. Kiba rolled his eyes, while Naruto looked to just smile up at the girl. But it's a good thing you came when you did, as Mom says the next litter of nindogs is about to come in. You both get to meet your partners tonight. Both boys turned and stared at each other wide-eyed and smiling. Wicked Hana smiled at the chorus, and quickly spun around so she was behind the two of them. Come on you two, I already told you Mom has dinner waiting. As she led the boys off, they both exploded into questions about the nindogs, and partners, and what it was like to work with a nindog. Both of them knew the answers to these questions already, but they were both too energetic to really remember much. Naruto sat on a rock ledge, overlooking a small pond. It was at the back of a small house, with a fence running around a compound. There was no one around, and there seemed to be loud noises coming from inside the house. He sadly skipped rocks across the surface of the pond, trying to block out the sounds of revelry. Stupid pups, why didn't any of them choose me? Akamaru came right up to Kiba, no problem. But all the others just stayed away or growled at me. Mom says it has happened before. But what if I never get a partner? Naruto shook off his thoughts to skip another stone across the pond, deliberately trying to keep his thoughts from wandering. He threw the stone a bit too hard, and watched it sail past the edge of the pond, hitting something in the bush. The creature cried out, similar to a dog, and Naruto was instantly on his feet. Oh crap, what if I hit one of the house dogs on accident? Mom's gonna be so mad. Naruto was on his feet and instantly across the pond, running around the edge as fast as he could. When he got there, he saw a fox mother, who was heavy with kits. Oh man, this is bad. I really clipped her good. I'll take her inside, see if Mom can do anything about this. Naruto reached out, and was surprised when the fox did not lash out at him. Carefully, he picked the fox up and carried her quickly to the house. Mom! Come quick! Some opened the door as Naruto approached, and saw the fox carried in his arms. Not asking anything, she took the boy inside and led him past the party area to the veterinary ward. The older Inuzuka gave him a stern look as she opened the door to the clinic. I'm not going to ask what happened, but you will explain later. I'm going to help this mother, and then I want to hear your side of the story. Naruto looked down at his feet, but nodded solemnly to his mother. For several hours, Naruto sat outside, and when his mother finally emerged, she shook her head, and gave the boy a long stare. I was just skipping stones outside. I guess I lost track of how hard I was throwing, because one of my shots went across the pond and into some bushes. I really didn't mean to hit her. Mom. Is she going to be alright? Some could see the contrition in the boy's face, and hear it in his voice. His smell gave off fear and worry, as well as guilt. I'm sorry, Naruto, but she's not going to make it. Unfortunately, the birthing was a bit premature, and her head injury was rather harsh. However, one pup did survive, and I'm going to be working with it to make sure it reaches adulthood. Naruto's head sank down, and she heard the boy sniffle once or twice. His mumblings though made her prick up her ears. What was that? Some looked down with slight concern in her eyes at her adopted son. I want to help raise it. I feel really guilty, and I know you have other stuff to do, so please, let me help raise it. I promise I'll do whatever you ask to take care of the pup. Tsum felt her eyes widen a bit, but nodded her head. She watched as the boy's smile widened, and she gave the kid a grin of her own. I'll help you out, but you're going to have to do exactly as I say. Would you like to meet him? Naruto nodded, and the woman smiled at the boy. As they walked in, they saw a small carrier on a table, just high enough for Naruto to see into. Inside, there was a small baby fox, brown fur covering his body. He had a large head, and looked up at Naruto with big eyes. Naruto reached his hand forward, and Tsum almost pulled the boy back. Before she could though, the fox puppy had leaned forward and started licking the boy's hand. I've never seen a fox act like that before. She was even more startled when she saw the markings on his cheeks begin to glow faintly. This is his partner, a fox? Well, there goes our great secrecy, Sarutobi. Still, there are records of it happening in the olden days, so I might be able to play this off. Tsum turned to the boy and gave him a warm smile. Well, Naruto, if your cheek markings are any indication, I'd say you found your partner. Do you want to name him? Naruto blinked and nodded at his mom. I think Kurama would be a good name for a fox. I think I'm supposed to work with a fox named Kurama. Tsum smiled at the boy, and watched as the light on his cheeks seemed to fade a bit. She was surprised though when instead of going out, they took on a deep red color. The color from the markings raced down his face and arms, red leading a trail of blue that sank into the fox pup. In an instant, the chakra had transferred from Naruto to Kurama. The only problem was, all of Tsum's hackles were fighting to stand on end in fear. When nothing more happened and the feeling passed, she turned to look at the boy. Fighting down her emotions, she put a smile on her face and looked at Naruto. That's a great name. I'm sure Kurama and Akamaru will also get along well. Since Kurama is a bit younger though, you'll have to wait a while before training with him like Kiba and Akamaru. Naruto nodded, a smile on his face. I did get a partner after all. Tsum smiled and ruffled the boy's hair. She pulled a bottle from the rack next to her, and handed it down to him. We're going to be the best partners, huh Kurama? Alright, last day of the academy. Come on Kiba, Akamaru, get up and let's go. We're gonna learn so much cool stuff once we graduate, and be so impressive. A dusty blonde-haired boy with a fox draped around his neck charged around his brother's room. Kiba for his part hit his head on the ceiling and turned to give his brother a murderous glare. The boy was wearing his now standard shinobi garb, a brown overcoat with brown fur at his collar and wrists, as well as around the base. It blended in nicely with Kurama's color. Black shinobi pants and steel-toed boots completed the get-up. Though Kiba could not see the armor directly, he knew his little brother was wearing the clan armor and mesh shirts underneath the clothing. He always dresses to the nines, even when we don't have to. Get out of my room, Pipsqueak. I need to get dressed. Akamaru yipped from the top bunk of the bunk bed. It's not your room, it's our room, lazy mutt. I mean, come on, just because you're a whole year older, you're going to hold that over my head? The fox draped around his shoulders leaned up and nipped him in the ear. Oh. Damn it, Kurama, not you too. The fox snickered slightly and yawned again. Listen to your partner and get out for a second. Go get breakfast ready if you are so excited and everything. Kiba shifted and rolled out of bed, watching as his brother left the room. He pulled out a matching gray version of his brother's coat, as well as some black shinobi pants and sandals. After he was dressed, he came out to the dining room to find his sister, Mom, and Naruto all gathered around the table. Nervous, Kiba? I mean, you do have to live up to your younger brother's reputation and all, right? Kiba shot his sister a murderous glare as he poured himself a bowl of cereal. Just because Spaz here has more energy than anyone else doesn't mean I have to worry about keeping up. Naruto snickered across the table and smirked at his brother. Don't be mad that I did better than you on the sensory test. Kiba gave the boy a harsh glare. You only did better on the hearing portion, I still have you beat on the smelling bit. Naruto shrugged and dug into his meal. Tsum shook her head and finished a bite of bacon as she looked at the two brothers. The both of you will be just fine. You have the basics down, and have your beast clones to cover for you. On top of that, you have some of the best marks in the academy overall. Naruto humphed angrily and bit into some more of his food. Yeah, except for the stupid emo team and the big pink brainiac. Kiba smirked at his brother out of the corner of his eyes. You sure you're not crushing on that girl? You do sure like to complain a lot about how she always does better than you on the homework. Naruto blushed slightly and growled at his older brother, getting a laugh out of the boy. Just messing with you. I know you don't really care for any of the girls in the class. Naruto shook his head in dismissal, and then glanced at the clock. Ah crap, if we don't hurry we're going to miss the upfront seats. Stupid emo team and his fan club always take the best seats if you're not 15 minutes early. Kiba rolled his eyes at his brother, and dug into his meal a bit more. I'll see you there, bro. Make sure you're not late or I'll graduate without you. Kiba growled and ran to the window to shout after his brother. Even if you graduate before me, I'm still gonna be Hokage 100 years before you will. Tsum and Hana sighed and shook their heads. Their boys were just always like this, it seemed. Later that afternoon, jonin lounge. Looks like we have a bunch of strong graduates this year, huh? A man with long, stand-up silver hair stood by one of the corners, next to a burly man with black hair and a slight beard. Both of them were wearing a standard shinobi set of pants and shirt, with flak jackets covering their chests, and weapon pouches on both of their hips. The silver-haired man had a mask covering his face, whereas his compatriot had a cigarette hanging from his lips. Yeah, though I really wanted to build up another Inoshikacho trio. Too bad you get Shikamaru and I get stuck with Naruto. The black-haired man took a drag on his cigarette as his partner glanced up in thought. One of his eyes was covered with a Leaf Village headband, and he seemed to have just paused from reading an orange-colored book. You know, I would be willing to trade you Shikamaru for Naruto. I'm used to running Black Ops missions, and not really good at this whole teaching thing. If you want to, we can trade, and I'll petition the Hokage to have me train them as a hunter squad. The man next to him stiffened slightly at the unusual idea. Are you sure, Kakashi? Most hunter squads are made up of chunin that undergo special training to take on those sorts of missions. Kakashi just shrugged and seemed to go back to his book for a moment. Well, Sasuke will undoubtedly be a good and close combatant with his Sharingan, and I can be his second. Naruto is an Inuzuka, and his tracking skills are apparently only second to the next clan heir. And Sakura supposedly could become strong at genjutsu, and possibly medical ninjutsu. That would make a perfect hunter squad if I could get them up to speed. Kakashi put his book away and turned to look at the man with a steady and friendly gaze. What do you say, Asuma? Up for a little trade? Asuma chuckled and put out his cigarette. Sure, sounds good to me. Let's go see if the old man is up for a little switch up from the plan. Naruto sat in the front row, Sasuke Uchiha on his right and the window on his left. A grin was plastered across his face, waiting for his turn to take the exam. Naruto and Inuzuka, come to the testing room now. Naruto turned to give Sasuke a friendly and challenging smirk. Well, Sasuke, let's see which one of us is Rookie of the Year. Best of luck to you. Sasuke just turned to give him an apathetic glare. HN. Like a loudmouth, like you could best an Uchiha. Naruto felt his glare tighten a bit, and Kurama raised his head off of Naruto's shoulder to look the man in the eyes with a harsh glare. Naruto, you need to go now. A yell from Iruka-sensei had Naruto moving at a fast pace. Coming, Iruka-sensei. Naruto let a low growl escape his throat as he walked past the Uchiha. As he did, he heard the whispers from Sasuke's assembled fan club. Who does Naruto think he is? Getting Sasuke riled up as always. Why do those two have to fight? Oh well, at least they both are cute when they are angry. Shaking his head at the last one, Naruto rounded the corner and came into the testing room. Alright, in order to pass, you need to demonstrate 2 academy techniques, and some form of the clone technique. Any additional techniques will go towards raising your overall score. The proctor barely looked up from his exam, not giving the boy a second glance. Alright. I'm going to demonstrate the rope escape jutsu, and the substitution jutsu. For the clone technique, I'm going to use the man-beast clone, as well as several Inuzuka jutsu that got the board instructor, Mizuki-sensei, to look up from his clipboard. Ah, another Inuzuka. Alright kid, get on with it. Your clan has never had a failed ninja, so I know you have this stuff down. Mizuki watched with mild interest as the fox jumped from the boy's shoulder before being fed a military pill. In an instant the red fox had its color deepen, and its eyes became red and slitted. The aura of chakra coming from the two was palpable, and ominous, surprising for one his age. When the two transformed, there were 2 identical Narutos standing there, their faces having deeper than usual tribal markings, and their eyes both bloodshot red with black slits. They had sizable claws now, and the fangs from his face were terrifyingly long. The chakra radiating from the boy was also slightly visible, though the former ominous feeling was missing. Mizuki nodded, and wiped some sweat from his brow. This kid has got a lot of power for his age, no wonder he's second rank to the Uchiha. Motioning for the boy to continue, Mizuki watched as they performed flawless examples of the all-fours jutsu, as well as the legendary Getsuga. After that, the 2 academy techniques were flawlessly demonstrated. Alright, you pass? Now come and grab a headband and then call for Uchiha Sasuke, he's next. Naruto nodded and gave a quick yes, sensei, before disappearing out the door. Mizuki shook his head as he watched him go. If we could give points for amount of chakra, that kid would definitely have the Uchiha beat. Alright, that concludes the tests for the day. To those who have passed, there is a week off before you must return here for team assignments. I will post the individual rankings on the board at that time as well. The class gave some various responses and Iruka shook his head. Another bland year, though this one had several standout ninja. He was surprised when a dirty blonde head of hair came up to his desk. Sensei, thank you for everything. You have been a very good teacher, and I've enjoyed working with you. Iruka was surprised at the bow he got from Naruto, but returned a slight one back as well. It's no problem, Naruto. I enjoy teaching. Actually, since you had the best scores on the listening portion of the surveillance exam, Would you like to learn a scouting jutsu with me over the next week or so? Naruto blinked, but then a grin came over his face. Would I ever? That'd be awesome. I can't wait to tell Kiba about this. Noticing a questioning look from Iruka, Naruto pulled himself back into a respectful pose. That is, once I get it down, of course. Iruka shook his head but smiled and ruffled the kid's hair. Come on out back, I'll show it to you. It's an echolocation technique, so your acute hearing should come in really handy for this. Naruto nodded, moving away from the academy with Iruka in tow. 1 week later. Welcome back, everyone. This is the last time I'm going to serve as your academy instructor, so I want you all to listen to my last words. From today, all of you are the adult ninja of this village. Please remember everything you have learned here, and continue to build upon your shinobi career. When you look back, these will be some of the calmer and better times of your adult life. Naruto sort of phased out of the rest of Iruka's speech, practicing his chakra pulse technique while he had the chance. He managed to get it down in a week with Iruka, who thought the boy's work ethic was astounding. Currently, he could only just pulse his chakra in a sphere, and make out objects and shapes from a couple 100 feet away. Solid walls still got in his way, but he was getting better at making out basic faces and body outlines at least. Alright, the class rankings are as such. Naruto stopped using the chakra pulse, and looked up hesitantly towards the board. Rookie of the Year, Uchiha Sasuke. A large chorus of cheers went around the room at this news, and Naruto cursed vehemently under his breath. Oh well, at least that means that I'm not on the same team as him. The rookie always gets placed with the dead last, so I'm out of that problem. Runner-up Inuzuka Naruto. Naruto smirked, and gave a thumbs up to his seatmate, who smirked and shook his head. You made it close though, Inuzuka. You were only trailing me by 10 points. Naruto smiled at that. The bastard is not so bad sometimes, I guess. Still, glad I won't have to work with him. Probably end up with that lazy Shikamaru. Naruto again phased out of listening as he worked on his technique. He went back to putting his head down on his desk, waiting for the team announcements to come. Alright, the team announcements are as follows. Team 7 will be Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura. A loud cry of victory rang out from the fan club section, and Inuzuka Naruto. Dead silence rang throughout the class. Wait a second, Iruka-sensei. I thought the dead last and the Rookie of the Year were supposed to be paired up. Why am I on the team and Shikamaru isn't? Naruto gave Iruka a questioning look and the Chunin just shrugged in response. I'm not sure why we're not following the normal pattern, but that isn't happening this year. Sorry Naruto, but you're stuck with Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto shrugged and gave Sasuke a cocky look. Guess we just get a couple more years to compete as Sasuke? The boy smirked back and nodded. It'll be good to have someone as strong as you to test myself against. Sakura happened to be sitting next to Sasuke, and she smiled a bit. We're really lucky, we have the top 3 kids in our class on the same team. No way we don't all blow everyone out of the water. Sakura smiled to her new teammates. Cha! We totally have the 2 class hunks for teammates. Take that Ino-pig. Now that that's over with, teammate will be Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Kiba smirked down to his younger brother. Don't get a big head, Naruto. I bet your teacher won't be near as awesome as mine will. Naruto stuck his tongue out at his brother, who returned the rude gesture by pulling down his eyelid in response. Will you all quit acting like children already? Iruka's big head transformation scared all the kids back into order. Now then, Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Akimichi Choji, and Nara Shikamaru. All of you are to wait here for your jonin instructor, who will meet with you after lunch. Team 11 will be Iruka's voice continued to drone on, and Naruto pushed his voice out of his head. Naruto pulled out his bento box as he sat on one of the benches in the park. Looking up, he saw Sasuke approach and raise a single eyebrow in question. Naruto nodded and gave him a seat on the bench. Sakura quickly rounded the corner, and blushed heavily upon seeing the Uchiha. Naruto rolled his eyes, but again moved over so the girl could have a seat. So, teammates, huh? What exactly do you think they put the 3 best in class on a team for? Sakura looked up at Naruto's question, tearing her eyes off of Sasuke. Geez, she's obsessed. She was wearing a pink dress with black shorts underneath, concealing her weapons pouch. Sasuke for his part had on a pair of khaki shorts and blue top with the Uchiha fan on the back of his shirt. Arm guards covered in white padding covered his wrists to his elbows. Well, we have a tracker in you, Naruto, and a fighter in Sasuke. Since I have perfect chakra control, I'll probably be encouraged to take up genjutsu and medical techniques. Probably some interrogation 2 squads like that I think work as Hunter-nin squads. Naruto blinked in surprise at her answer. Hunter-nin squads usually had an Inuzuka in the ranks, so it wasn't that surprising once he thought about the team makeup. I have no problem with being on a Hunter-nin squad, so long as you both put in your all. I want to not only be the best this year, but become one of the best that Konoha has to offer. Sasuke kept his gaze on his food as he dug into his lunch, especially since if I want to defeat Itachi, even with the help of you two, we're going to need to be some of the best. I've got no problem with that myself. Me and Kurama here are determined to become the Hokage, right boy? The fox opened one eye with a smile, and gave a short nod. You really think an Inuzuka could become Hokage, Naruto? Naruto turned to her and gave a sharp nod. Inuzuka have always stuck close to the Hokages. As such, we are known for being advisors and relatives to the Senju. It's not too much of a stretch to see us getting there if we work hard. Sakura smiled at him. The guy, for all of his rough edges at times, was full of confidence at least. Well, I can see you making it, but cute little Kurama here seems like he just wants to sleep all the time. Sakura reached out and scratched behind the fox's ears, who merely smiled in response and leaned into it a bit. Oh, seems he likes you. So far, he's only let you and that weird Hyuga girl touch him. Sakura gave Naruto a frown at that, and lightly flicked him in the forehead above his metal protector. Oh. What was that for Sakura? Sasuke sighed as he looked straight at Naruto. You know, you may be able to sense people's movements, but you apparently are bad at reading people's emotions. Naruto blinked owlishly at that once or twice, before letting out a low growl. Says the guy who has no emotions. You calling me stupid, you bastard? Naruto was cut off by Kurama turning and nipping him on the ear. Oh, sorry Kurama, I keep forgetting that my yelling hurts your ears. Kurama closed his eyes and leaned in more for Sakura to pet him. Sasuke finished his bento and stood up suddenly. I'm finished, so I'm going to go wait in the room. I'll see you both there. Sasuke left, not turning back to see the nods of acknowledgement from Naruto and Sakura. That guy can really be a stick in the mud when he wants to, huh? Naruto turned to Sakura, who only nodded slightly. Yeah, but he's had a pretty harsh childhood. I'm just worried about being on this hunter squad. Naruto, you don't think they assembled us to help Sasuke with his family issues, do you? Naruto shrugged in response. I don't know Sakura, but that doesn't seem like the Hokage's style. Maybe, but I'm not sure. He shrugged again, and scratched Kurama underneath the chin. No matter what though, we're definitely going to need to get stronger to work as a hunter nin squad. He smiled at the girl for a second. If you want, I can ask my mom about having you come over and learn some medic nin stuff. She's no Tsunade, but she can at least teach you the basics. Sakura smiled at him. It had been really rough for her, as she did not come from a ninja family. Becoming the third best student in the class had taken her entire effort. Thanks, Naruto. You really are a sweet guy underneath your loudmouth act. And you are rather respectful when you want to be. Naruto grinned sheepishly and rubbed the back of his head with his hand. No problem, let's go meet up with Emo Prince and wait for our sensei. Sakura shook her head at the boy, but nodded and followed after him. The team dynamic doesn't seem as bad as I feared. The Inuzuka kid is interesting to say the least. Especially with a fox for a partner. On top of that, with what the Hokage informed me of when I took the team, that boy may very well be a dangerous ninja already. Kakashi sighed as he jumped through the trees. Guess I have to show up on time for this team. They actually seem to know what they are doing. Sorry Obito, but I'll pay you a visit later. Asuma stood in the academy class, leaning back against the blackboard as he watched the students filter into the classroom. Still can't believe the old man agreed to Kakashi's request. That teen should be scary good by the time that they get done with his training. He turned as a black-haired beauty walked into the classroom. Wavy black hair, piercing red eyes, and an outfit of a red dress with white wraps to hug all the right curves drew Asuma's approving glance. Looking good, Kurenai. New outfit for the jonin promotion? Yuhi. Kurenai rolled her eyes at her longtime friend and acquaintance Sarutobi. Asuma. Can't have all of you male jonin setting the fashion standard for us ninja. If we did, then Guy would probably lead the charge on wearing jumpsuits. Asuma shuddered appreciatively at that, and looked over the group. Doesn't look like we have too many trendsetters in this group, so that's a plus for once. As he said that, the door opened behind them and the two turned to see Hatake Kakashi walk in, looking rather sheepish. Surprised to see you here so early, Kakashi. Kakashi rubbed the back of his head, continuing to give an eye smile of embarrassment. Well, you see, I was thinking that we were supposed to be here when the academy started, so I thought I was already late. Asuma blinked in surprise. That's an actually decent lie, Kakashi. Guess you must have seen something in your team that you liked. Maybe I shouldn't have traded Naruto. Kurenai though did not catch the lie from the older jonin, and shook her head in embarrassment for the man. You really do need to work on that tardiness issue, you know. Kurenai sighed as she looked over the class. Oh well, at least I got the reconnaissance squad I wanted. What about you two? Asuma shrugged and looked over the class makeup. So long as they all pass, which I'm sure they will, we should have a second coming of the Ino Shikacho trio. Asuma pulled a cigarette out of his pocket, but when he got a disapproving glare from his female compatriot sighed and returned it to the pack. From what I managed to see, I think I'm going to get a nice hunter nin group. I really hope they pass. I actually want to teach this team. Kakashi turned at that moment to look at Kurenai. Say, I was wondering, would you be interested in helping my female student with genjutsu techniques when the time comes? I only know the basic DA rank ones of hell viewing. Nothing more than that. Kurenai gave the man a small smile before nodding. But I'm expecting help in kind, Kakashi. You are one of the better infiltration experts, so if my team can pick you up, I'll know that they have some of the basic skill sets down that they need. Kakashi I smiled in return. Sounds like a deal. At that moment, Naruto and Sakura walked into the classroom and joined Sasuke at the front. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have a genin team to test. Asuma blinked in surprise. Not going to wear them down like usual, Kakashi? Kakashi shook his head and gave a thumbs up as he walked forward. I like this one, Asuma. I want them to pass. Asuma shrugged and smiled. Kakashi seemed to actually be interested for once, so who was he to judge? Alright, Team 7, right? His presence got a nod from Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura. Kakashi looked them over carefully, and nodded to himself. My first impression of you is that you are not all entirely worthless. Smiling inwardly at the various looks of shock and outrage playing across their face, Kakashi held up a hand before they could get too riled. Meet me on the roof in 2 minutes. I want to get to know all of you. With that, Kakashi disappeared from the room in a shunshin, leaving a startled group of kids behind. Come on, we got to hurry! I'm not letting that bastard get away from me. Naruto was up and out of his seat, with Sakura and Sasuke rushing behind them. Wait up, Naruto, geez, that guy is full of energy. Sasuke raced to catch up to the disappearing blonde, Sakura pulling close behind. 2 minutes later found the three of them panting on the rooftop, looking at a calmly seated Kakashi. The man did not even look the slightest bit winded and was happily reading and giggling to a little orange book. Oh, you all made it. Good. Now we can get some team introductions done. Naruto had already sat down, and Kurama leapt off his shoulders, stretched, and then growled lightly at Kakashi before curling up on Naruto's lap. Since Fido there doesn't seem to like me, why don't you go first? Sure. My name is Inuzuka Naruto. My partner's name is Kurama. Unlike most Inuzuka, Kurama is a fox, which means his hearing is superb, but his sense of smell is not quite as good as some of the nin dogs. Kurama bit at his hand, but Naruto pulled it away quickly. He doesn't agree with that, but it is true. I am also skilled in the Inuzuka techniques, and have mastered the basic academy techniques. My chakra control is subpar, though that's due to my larger than normal reserves. I like going for walks with Kurama, and I dislike cats of any kind. My hobbies are gardening and cooking. My dream for the future is to beat my brother to the title of Hokage. Kakashi nodded at all this, surprised by the amount of detail. I didn't know you liked to cook, Naruto. I thought Kiba said that he hates cooking because the smells make his nose feel weird. Naruto chuckled at Sakura's question. That's because Kiba has an overly sensitive nose. I once put some chili powder on Akamaru, and whenever Kiba got near him he would sneeze for over a week straight. Kurama seemed to snicker at that and snuggle closer to Naruto's lap. Kakashi smiled at the display and nodded to Sasuke. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I am skilled at the academy basics, as well as fire ninjutsu, wire and kunai techniques, and my clan's interceptor style. I don't particularly like anything, but I have a feeling that I might enjoy working with this team. By the same token, I do not dislike anything except incompetent people. I have no hobbies. Though I may not have a dream, I have 2 goals. The resurrection of my clan, and avenging my clan's murder. All of the others' sweat dropped at the final statement, and Kakashi shook his head. Getting him to come around and not be a flight risk is going to be a lot of work. He turned to see the dreamy, far-eyed look that Sakura gave him. Especially while turning her into a decent kunoichi. Oh well, at least Naruto seems well balanced. Though I wonder how meeting the fox and learning about his hidden past will affect him. So, it's the fire ninjutsus that probably put you as Rookie of the Year, huh? I kept asking Mom to let me start on elemental training, but she said that getting my teamwork down with Kurama came first. Sasuke shrugged, and gave a non-committal smile. Probably. If you want, I'll teach them to you if you come by and spar with me a couple of times. Naruto grinned back as well. Definitely. That would totally be wicked to get some fire techniques down. Kakashi felt this was the right moment to cut in. Let's worry about training later, we have one introduction left to go. The slight side notes had seemed to give Sakura a second to compose herself. Right. My name is Haruno Sakura. I am skilled in the academy basics, as well as setting advanced traps. I also have very high chakra control, and got the best academic grades in the academy. I also have slight proficiency in genjutsu, but only for recognizing and breaking them for now. I'd like to work on improving that and medical ninjutsu skills, as well as some interrogation skills. The girl paused for a moment to glance over to Sasuke. My likes are well, I like boys that are quiet and respectful, but that are also very strong. I dislike overly loud idiot guys that try to get me to go on dates with them. My hobbies are needlework and singing karaoke. My dream for the future is to lead a strong kunoichi career, then retire and settle down to raise a family. Kakashi smiled a bit at the last one, surprised that she seemed to also have some idea about where she wanted to go. Between the 3 of them, that's the most reasonable introduction I've heard yet. Right then. Guess I'll go last. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I am a highly skilled jonin with a large number of techniques. I have many likes, but I'm not sharing that with you yet. As for my dislikes, those are rather personal. Same for my hobbies and dreams. Kakashi felt his grin grow behind his mask, but he kept it from his eyes. The looks of shock on their face were just too perfect. However, if you can pass my little test today, I am going to make it my goal to turn you three into a powerful Hunter-nin team. Huh? Test? The triple chorus, even from the stoic Uchiha, had Kakashi practically ready to bust a gut. That's right, a test. If the three of you can pass it, I'll make you my genin squad, and train you to be Hunter-nin. If you fail, then you have to come back here for a year of remedial lessons. Kakashi felt the eyes of all three narrow on him. Oh man, they are really fired up. This is going to be interesting. Pulling out some sheets of paper, Kakashi handed them to the three of them. Sign those, then meet me at Training Ground 7. Bring everything you might need for a survival mission. I'm looking forward to this, so try to make it within the next hour or so. Expecting them to all leap up and go at once, Kakashi was surprised when they stopped and signed the papers then and there. I brought enough stuff for a team survival mission, as my mom always has Kiba and I travel prepared. It's in my sealing scroll. We can take your test now, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi stiffened, and smiled at Sam's level of doggedness. Makes sense though. Kakashi chuckled at his silent pun, though he did notice the two of them hand in their forms as well. You both really want to trust Naruto on this? You're staking your career on his preparedness. Sasuke shook his head and smirked at Kakashi. Fox boy here may have come in second to me, but he's always been on his game. Tsum-sen made sure of that. If Naruto says he is ready, he is. Sakura nodded in agreement to Sasuke. See you at Training Ground 7. Then Kakashi disappeared into a puff of smoke, leaving the three of them surprised when they saw a map in front of them. On it was a chibi drawing of Konoha with big black letters pointing to the marked training ground. There was also an electronic timer, showing they had 5 minutes to get there. Kakashi fought, but failed to keep the chuckle from his voice when the three of them arrived at the training ground. Glad to see you all could make it. Now then, the test is very simple. Kakashi held up 2 small bells. Your job is to get these from me. Whosoever gets a bell will get dinner. Whosoever fails will not, and be tied to a stump. He stood by a row of 3 stumps and started an alarm clock on the top. If you fail to get a bell, or give up before the 4 hours is up, you get sent back to the academy for a year of remedial training. That got the reaction he was hoping for. What the hell? You said that we could all pass this test. Naruto had a grim look set on his face, and Kurama had jumped down from his shoulders growling. I said you could all pass, I never said you would pass as a team. Now, before we go any further, there are some ground rules. You must come at me with the intent to kill. Don't hold back. Naruto growled even further. I've got intent to kill, alright, you goddamn prick. Naruto was almost shaking with anger at the moment. Sasuke, though controlled much better, was also visibly peeved. Shut up, Naruto. You know I hate it when you yell. Sakura herself was looking rather worried about the whole idea. Cha. 1 second he's so cool, then the next a total idiot. But he's still not gonna get a bell before me. Well, that worked rather easily. Other than that, you may start when I say go. Kakashi looked at them all as they tensed to move. Go. In a blur the 3 ninja disappeared, Kurama stashed safely around Naruto's neck once more. Well, at least they all know how to hide adequately. But Sakura, I have a plan. Sakura turned to see Naruto approaching her. What do you want, Naruto? Naruto rolled his eyes at her fearful tone. She really thinks I'm coming here to knock her out of the competition, doesn't she? Look, I did some thinking, and I figured something out. You and Sasuke have more to lose than I do by failing. Sakura blinked in surprise at him. I mean, Kiba's already in this year, so the teams will probably have an Inuzuka anyways. I can join next year and be just fine. On top of that, you like Sasuke. I'd be a prick to pull you away from him. Sakura found a kind smile come to her face and tears well at the corners of her eyes. She bit her lip but nodded, not trusting her voice for a second. Let's find Sasuke then. If we work together, I'm sure the 2 of you can get a bell no problem. Sasuke felt the arrival of Kakashi's chakra signature nearby. Shit, he knows where I am. 3 more signatures landed close by as well. And they're here too, this is bad. Sasuke, we've decided to work together to fight Kakashi. Come out and join us. Sasuke heard Sakura's voice come from the direction of Naruto's signature. Alright, maybe with their help we can do this, let's hope they don't get in my way. Teaming up is valiant and all, but who's going to be left behind, I wonder? Sasuke moved as quickly as he could to dodge a drop kick that smashed the branch he'd been hiding on. In a second he was racing across the forest to meet up with the others. They stood in an open clearing, facing towards Kakashi's last location. I'll be generous and give you 10 minutes to strategize. His voice carried over the clearing, and he saw the 3 animatedly begin talking. Well, their 10 minutes are up, let's see how they do. Deciding to face me openly in the field is honorable and all, but remember, we're ninja. Honor isn't really supposed to be a strong suit for us. The voice came from the forest, and Naruto and Kurama tensed. Alright Kurama, let's show him what we're made of. Naruto passed a military ration pill to the fox, who swallowed it. The fox's fur grew thicker, and then seemed to grow in size. Before long, he came up to Naruto's waist at the shoulder. The change also saw the chakra of the two of them swell to an almost oppressive level. Let's go wild. Man-beast clone jutsu. A puff of smoke later, two Narutos stood there, claws of 2 inches or more extending from his hands. His face markings had darkened and his fangs extended. All fours jutsu. The feral appearance only increased, and suddenly there was an orange chakra swirling around the two of them. Its feel was oppressive, and laden with bloodlust. Sasuke and Sakura both took a step back, wanting to give the boy some room. That chakra is really similar to the demon fox but much less potent. It must be part of the bonding process that the boy went through with his fox familiar. This fight is going to be serious. Kakashi stashed his book, then made a shadow clone to move underground towards his opponent. Looks like someone is a little bit antsy still. This should be fun. Kakashi burst into the clearing, charging towards the feral-looking Naruto. I'll have to end this fast. He's got a lot of power there, and not a lot of control. One stray shot, and I'm in big trouble. Plus, I have to fight to subdue, no injuries allowed. Minato sensei really was good to beat us with no injuries. Gutsuga. Kakashi dodged as the twin roving missiles came towards him, just managing to dip under hastily thrown kunai and shuriken from Sakura. Fire style. Phoenix flower. Kakashi dodged again as more of them came in, and was really surprised by the smirk on Sasuke's face, as well as the wire. Oh shit. Kakashi managed to bring a kunai up and cut through the wire on his left, dipping out just in time to see a flaming dragon crash where he would have been. Kakashi raised his forehead protector and brought his Sharingan to bear. To think they made me do this. I'm going to like teaching this team. Kakashi watched Sasuke's movements, and waded easily through the hail of incoming projectiles of Sakura. He smiled as his clone managed to capture Sasuke and subdue the girl, only to be destroyed by a roving Gutsuga. Still, looks like I can handle this weight. Where's the other Naruto? Gutsuga. Kakashi felt the attack ripped by his belt, pull off 2 bells, and then throw them to his teammates. Haha. Take that Kakashi-sensei, we passed. Now who's the big bad jonin, huh? Kakashi spiked his killing intent ominously. He watched in satisfaction as the 3 cowered and he approached on them. Naruto, are you telling me that you sacrificed yourself for the betterment of your team? Are you throwing away your ninja career when you claim to want to be Hokage? And you two are fine with that? Sasuke and Sakura both shrunk back from the terrifying man. Kurama had turned back to a fox again, and was cowering near Naruto. Answer me, they needed to pass more than I did. There's already a probable Inuzuka in the graduating class, so my need was less than theirs. As such, I volunteered for this position. Kakashi's iron gaze swept over to the other 2 team members. And you approved of this, why? His tone was less deafening, but the chill calm of it almost unnerved them further. We both agreed that if we did pass, to come and help him with what we learned while training with you, no matter what you said. His dream is to be Hokage and will take time, and he accepted as much. Sasuke struggled to speak under the pressing killing intent but carried onward. However, we both argued against that, and said that if he was going to take the fall, that we would make sure he still got some benefit from it. Kakashi's gaze grew even harder if possible. And if I told you doing so would be a violation of the rules of the village, are you willing to break with such to respect an oath given to a comrade? Sasuke and Sakura both nodded, and Kakashi pushed to draw his killing intent to its fever pitch. Then all I have to say to you, as a dispenser of justice for the village, is that you all. His voice faded off into silence as he pulled a kunai from his pouch. The 3 genin were trembling in fear, and pulling back and away from him. Pass. The kunai popped into an extra bento, and the 3 of them gave him the most confused look ever. Moving quickly to the nearby training posts, Kakashi patted the alarm clock on the head, and saw it transform back into a bento box. Come on, let's eat and celebrate. It's been 10 years since anyone has passed this test, and I feel like eating heartily. Kakashi turned to see the burned-out expressions of disbelief on all 3 of his students. You're telling us you haven't passed a single team in 10 years with this exercise? Kakashi nodded to Naruto. Sensei, don't take this wrong way, but do you suffer from insanity? Kakashi turned and gave him a smirk. This is too much fun. He took a piece of sushi and slowly brought it towards his masked face. In a seeming defiance of the laws of reality, the sushi passed straight through his mask, where he ate it rather pleasantly. Suffer from it, I enjoy every minute of it. We really did get a nut job for a teacher, huh? Naruto couldn't help but groan as he pulled himself to his feet, and walked over to the training posts. Sakura and Sasuke nodded dimly with him as they approached. Kurama jumped up and landed on Naruto's shoulder, nuzzling his cheek once before settling around his neck. That fox of yours seems really lazy. Naruto, you sure it's not Shikamaru's partner? Sakura chided as she walked over to the training post, getting a rise out of Naruto. The girl laughed, and turned surprised eyes at the smile coming from Sasuke. He actually smiled. I haven't seen that since before that time. Kakashi took that moment to cut in, handing out the lunch boxes to the group. Now, Naruto, I don't think Sakura meant that literally. But I have to say, I am impressed at you three. I did not even have to tell you the words of my former sensei to get the training exercise's purpose across. Naruto grinned to himself at that one. That's because it was easy for an Inuzuka, Kakashi-sensei. We know that it's more important than anything else to stick close to your partners. Kurama at this point chose to nuzzle slightly against Naruto, who idly scratched the fox's cheek. I think my former sensei would have loved to hear that. He said that those who break the shinobi code may be trash, but those that abandon their comrades are lower than trash. Kakashi smiled as he saw Naruto nod at this, and even the lazy Kurama gave an agreeable yip. Now then, as I said before the tests, the point of this team is going to be that of a hunter-nin squad. I've been running Black Ops missions before this, so I'm not particularly suited to training, but I do have some idea of the basics I'm going to put you through. Pausing to take a couple bites of his bento, Kakashi pulled out some slips of paper with his idle hand. Naruto and Sakura looked idly at the papers, and Sasuke had his eyes widen in recognition. These are chakra papers. I'm going to be training you in the first step of elemental manipulation, and passing on one or two jutsu that I know from my time in the Black Ops. Here, each of you take one and channel some chakra into it so we know what element you have. Kakashi paused as Naruto raised a hand like they were in class. We're a cell now, Naruto, no need to treat this like a classroom. Naruto grinned bashfully and rubbed the back of his head with his off hand. Sorry, Kakashi-sensei, my mom really worked me over on the whole politeness thing. Kiba got the same lessons, but he's a bit more crazy than me, I guess. Kakashi gestured in an impatient manner at him. Oh right. I wanted to ask if you have a spare for Kurama. Sometimes Inuzuka partners have a different affinity. Kakashi blinked in surprise, but pulled an extra sheet from his pocket. I didn't know that the nin dogs could use techniques like ninja could. Sakura rubbed Kurama's head idly as he stretched out in the grass next to her. Sasuke gave the fox an approving glance and smiled. Kakashi is really taking us seriously. I'll actually be getting purposeful training for hunting down Itachi, and have a team that might get assigned the mission. So long as I strike the killing blow, Naruto and Sakura could be an ideal team for helping me to get my revenge. But how do I get them to agree? Sasuke kept his thoughts to himself as he accepted the sheet of paper. He grinned at the fox grasping the paper between its paws. A bit of an odd pair those two, but they work well together. Now, depending on what your affinity is, the paper will do one of 5 things. If it is fire, it will burn, air it will cut, lightning it will crumple, earth it will turn to stone, and if it is water it will get wet. All of the genin nodded, except Naruto, who suddenly turned to Kurama and barked in a series of short yips. The fox perked up at first, and gave a couple short yips in return. Naruto chuckled and barked back, causing the fox to growl a bit before shaking its head away from the boy in a huff. Everything alright with your dog? Sasuke asked, trying to keep the amusement from out of his voice. Naruto gave the boy a quick glare and stuck his tongue out. It's fine, Emo Prince, we have things under control. Sasuke snorted at the Emo Prince comment. Do you two have to fight? It's always like this with you two, I swear. Sakura's voice of chastisement made Sasuke look away and Naruto look down ashamedly. Kakashi, for his part, sweat dropped as he watched the 3 new students. They get cooperation, but maybe not camaraderie yet. I'll have to work on that, it seems. Coughing to get the attention of his charges, Kakashi was rewarded with 4 sets of eyes locking onto him. Sasuke, if you would go first, please. The boy nodded silently and sent a pulse of chakra through the paper. It indented sharply, surprising Sasuke slightly, before it burned to ash in his hand. 2 affinities, and the Sharingan. Isn't someone an overachiever, eh? Sasuke smirked slightly at this, a haughty look on his face. Naruto, Kurama, if you would please. Naruto shrugged and looked to his partner. Kurama seemed to be awake for once, and channeled some of his chakra down into his paper at the same time as his partner. Naruto's burst suddenly into dozens of tiny bits, slashed apart by a strong wind affinity. Kurama's slit just once up the middle, each piece lazily floating to the ground. Interesting that they are the same, but not entirely surprising. You two are going to have to practice together to utilize wind with your family techniques, though. Kakashi turned to Sakura, who nodded, and focused some chakra into the paper. In an instant it turned into a bunch of pebbles, which then became small puddles, and the girl blinked olishly at it. I get a whole set to play with? Kakashi's smile was so wide that it could be seen through his face. Still, I am not sure why Sakura showed earth and water. Her family are ninjas, but she was adopted, and her lineage is not well known. This bears some investigation. As he chuckled, all 3 of the kids got an unnerving feeling, and Kurama quickly slinked back towards Naruto's side. Well then, my first question is how all 3 of you are doing financially? Sasuke grunted, and Kakashi sighed in acceptance of the answer. Naruto and Sakura shared a blink before shrugging. Not pressed hard for cash, any of you three? He got a head shake of no from the three jonin. Perfect. In that case, we should meet up again here tomorrow, around 7 a.m. let's say. Each of you should bring enough for a team survival mission of up to 1 week. The academy list should suffice for this. Kakashi chuckled to himself, as he pulled himself to his feet. I'll need to call Anko and Hana, see if they are willing to help out with a little bit of a training mission. Ooh, and see if I can get some pointers for Naruto's wind chakra training from Asuma. I get my own little cell of Black Ops, and I even get the last Uchiha. And Sensei's son to teach. Kakashi seemed to lapse into chuckles again, and all three youths backed away from him in a terrified manner. Kakashi-sensei, I was going to have Sakura come over to see if we should work out a schedule for her medical training. Should I wait on that, or still bring her over? Naruto's question brought Kakashi out of his creepy chuckle fest rather quickly. Smiling to the dirty blonde, Kakashi gave him a thumbs up. Don't worry about it for now. Sakura is going to get plenty of on-the-job training during our next little excursion. Sakura paled slightly at this, and Naruto nodded, backing away in a similar manner to Kurama. I'll see all of you here tomorrow morning, so take care of yourselves tonight. In a flash, Kakashi was replaced by a swirl of wind and leaves, no trace of him left. Why do I feel like we just got dragged into something that Shikamaru would call troublesome, a boy? Kurama merely yawned and nuzzled against the blonde, getting a giggle from Sakura and a smirk from Sasuke. Shikamaru, get off your lazy ass right now. We still haven't caught Asuma-sensei yet. Yamanaka Ino was livid with rage. Her stupid teammate was not moving his arse at all, and Choji was just happily munching on a bunch of chips. It's way too troublesome to go out there now. Asuma said we have till 7 to get his cigarette from him, and he's probably not going to do anything but hide and wait until the last minute. That way, we can bicker and not get the mission done, allowing him a chance to lecture us on teamwork. Way too much trouble. I'm gonna just stay here and watch the clouds. Ino looked as if she was about to pull her blonde hair out of her head. Her purple tank top and shorts combo, complete with shin guards and arm guards, as well as body wraps, was shaking in rage at the lazy boy across from her. Shikamaru could hardly notice that she was there. A piece of advice when dealing with Asuma: if you can henge into Yuhi Kurenai, you might have a chance of catching him off guard. Kakashi appeared in the clearing in an instant, startling the three young genin. But if you would wait until I've asked him my necessary questions, that would help a whole lot for my sake. Kakashi looked down at a boy laying in the grass, his head shaded by his forehead protector, and a blade of grass stuck from between his teeth. He had black hair that was spiky and put up in a ponytail, and wore the Nara clan shirt, and underneath it mesh armor. He sported plain black shinobi pants and weapons pouch, as well as cloth wrapped around one of his legs near his blue shinobi sandals. No sweat off my back. Sorry about catching you in the shadow bind, didn't know if you were friendly at first. Kakashi shook his head at the boy. This cool thinker was the dead last? I see the council has shifted the academy to be more focused on producing good citizens than ninjas. He picked me up while in a relaxed state, and snared me as soon as I arrived. Definitely not dead last qualities. It's no problem to me. Good luck you three. Asuma's a bit of a tough character, but you'll do fine. Kakashi disappeared in a blur again, catching Ino and Choji by surprise. Who was that guy? Shikamaru? Choji had to speak around a handful of chips, as he was quickly back to eating. Who cares? Wasn't Asuma, so we're fine for the moment. I'm going back to sleep. Wake me if something troublesome happens. Ino gave the boy a derisive snort at that. Everything's troublesome to you. Hey there Kakashi, imagine seeing you here. Not trying to interrupt my test, are you? Asuma gave the man a once-over to check his appearance, for a transformation. Kakashi sighed and raised his headband, showing his Sharingan off. Asuma shrugged in acceptance, lowering his ready stance. So, I take it your team passed if you're here for advice. I've got some time to kill before they make a move, so what's up? Kakashi lowered the eyepiece as he looked at his friend. I need some advice for wind-natured chakra. I never fought against the Sunanin, and I never had to train it before, so I'm in a bit of a bind. I do know the leaf-cutting exercise, but not what my student should focus on. Asuma looked appreciatively at the Konoha legend and nodded. When they tries to focus the chakra, have them imagine it grinding against itself, as if coming from two directions. It should eventually form itself into a thin blade that way. Kakashi paused, and then looked up as understanding hit him. Got it? Kakashi nodded. Now, what can you tell me about the plans of my team? Kakashi smirked but waved his finger naughtily at Asuma before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Damn, does he always have to act so hip and cool? Asuma pulled out a cigarette and lit it, taking a long drag on the stick. Kakashi traipsed warily into training ground 44, trying to pay attention to his surroundings. This place was loaded with danger, and he was heading right into what was known as the forbidden section of the forest. There were sounds of hungry predators all around him, but to the elite ninja they were nothing. No, his greater worry was the cries of bloodlust coming from in front of him. Let's hope she accepts a peace offering of Dango. Kakashi felt the kunai graze along his cheek, drawing a hint of blood. Just in time, he turned around to face the oft-talked-of Anko Mitarashi. Long purple hair was held up in a messy bun, and golden brown eyes peered out from an aquiline face. The woman seemed to radiate killing intent despite the smile on her face. Her attire was easily as disarming as her face though, a long trench coat, open in the front with only a mesh armored shirt for cover. This rested on top of a scantily short skirt that just made it down to the top of some heavy-duty combat boots. Kakashi, just what do I owe for the pleasure of a visit from my favorite victim? Kakashi for his part pulled a package from his back pocket. When Anko saw that it was a scroll, she eyed him warily. Now, I was just wondering if you would be interested in helping one of my students. She has an interest in learning some torture techniques, and she said she wants to be a powerful kunoichi in her own right someday, so I just thought you'd be perfect for the job. Anko smiled knowingly at the hidden compliments, but gestured at the scroll. That payment for me then? I don't teach for free, you know? Kakashi sighed and nodded his head slightly. Let's call this a free meal to establish our terms. Kakashi unsealed the scroll, and a puff of smoke later, there was a large plate of fresh dango in front of them. Now, that is the way into a woman's heart. Kakashi, let's sit down and eat, shall we? As Anko said this, a rather large snake swept into the clearing and placed itself between the two. Kakashi was surprised when Anko set it on the snake's back and motioned him closer. We have to share the meal to discuss the terms, you know? As she said this, the snake turned and hissed in Kakashi's direction. Anko smiled at his slight sweat drop. Teasing Hitaki is always too much fun. So you want to train one of Naruto's friends as a medic nin, and you want me to approve sending Hana, my current medic in training, and his sister, into a dangerous training ground for a week with limited supervision. Do I have that correct, Hitaki? Kakashi felt sweat bead at the back of his head with the way Tsum was glaring at him, but managed to force himself to nod at her in the affirmative. You are a very ballsy man. You hold the dog contract, correct? Kakashi nodded his head again at the brown-haired woman. I may approve of this, if you extend the Hitaki contract to one of the Inuzuka. It was originally an Inuzuka contract, but was gifted to your father for his aid to our clan during the Second Great War. Kakashi nodded to this as well, and coughed slightly, trying to muster up the courage to speak. I had already intended on sharing the contract with Naruto. With that, Tsum's fist slammed onto the table, suddenly cutting him off. I'm not talking about Naruto. There is a different contract he must sign. No, I'm talking about Kiba. Kiba will sign the dog contract, and in turn Hana will train your student. Is this acceptable? Kakashi nodded quickly. Normally he was not one to be cowed, but this woman was wholly frightening in ways that Kakashi had not seen since he was much younger. Good. Now then, would you like to stay for some pork chop? I have a fresh bone around here somewhere. The woman got up from the small table they were at and began moving around the kitchen in which they were gathered. Kakashi nodded his agreement, still not quite trusting his voice. I can see how Naruto picked up a bit of an obedient streak. Without the natural Inuzuka ferocity, anyone would flinch under a matriarch like Tsum. As he looked around, he noticed the cozy setting of the home, and the way that it was simply arranged. There was a dining room table, not far from a kitchen area, and a small living area attached to that. The kitchen was very Spartan, but the walls held photos of Kiba and Naruto playing together, as well as shots of Akamaru and Kurama dozing fitfully in the sun. The Inuzuka, while a strong clan within the village, were apparently very family-oriented. Sensei, you made a wise choice in this, I feel. He turned suddenly as a plate was set in front of him. Now, I didn't get to ask about the test, but if it's not too personal, can you tell me about Naruto's performance? Kakashi nodded, and thanked her for the meal. He casually pulled down his mask, allowing her to see his face. Tsum was an old war veteran, and had served with Kakashi under her leadership in the past. She was quite used to the actions of the man, and had seen his mask off several times before, so the mystery was very little to her. Naruto performed the most admirably out of the team. He personally chose to take the dive for his teammates, and would have faced returning to the academy for failing to get a bell. I have to say, I was very impressed with his and Kurama's tag team work. Though I have to ask, some stiffened slightly at Kakashi's tone and direction of conversation. When he teams up with that fox, some of the nine tails slips through, doesn't it? Tsum set her bite of meat down, looking down towards her plate before nodding solemnly. Have you told him yet? Here, the strong woman bit into her lip slightly while shaking her head side to side slowly. I haven't the heart to let him know yet. I decided I would inform him of it, if he does not learn of it himself, after his first Chunin exam. When he becomes Chunin, his heritage will also be revealed to him. For now, he truly believes he is Kiba's brother, and Hana was too young at the time to remember otherwise. Kakashi grimaced a bit at that. While he did not approve of the timeline, he knew better than to question a parent's decision. He nodded in acceptance, and the two turned to their meal, jumping onto more normal and mundane topics. Naruto pulsed a bubble of chakra around himself as he walked through the compound gates. As he did, he noticed a number of the nin dogs perk up. Apparently they can sense that, huh? He turned and gave a few sharp yips to Kurama, who gave him a lazy eye from his shoulder before stretching and sending out a couple of sharp yips to the surrounding dogs. Naruto smiled as he heard barks of acknowledgement and acceptance from the family guardians. I remember at first when they all tried to chase him after he was let out of my room, boy did he show them. Naruto sniggered at the memory of a small fox pup, barely 2 to 3 years old, outsmarting and outmaneuvering a lot of the bigger family dogs. On top of that, Kurama was surprisingly strong for his size, and managed to take several of the larger dogs down without a fight. The only one who could really put him down was Kuramaru. The older Nin dog had shown an equal finesse and grace, and matching strength. Ultimately, the greater amount of experience did Kurama in, and the fox was forced to submit. Kurama gave a few sharp yips towards Naruto, drawing the blonde's attention. You think there's someone else inside the house, huh? What can you hear? A couple short yips later, Naruto's grin widened. Kakashi-sensei's inside talking to mom, huh? Wonder what's going on there. A familiar bark made the two turn their heads. Hey bro! How was your first day of training? Naruto shrugged as Kiba approached, Akamaru resting happily on his head. The team's annoying to work with, but he's really competent, so it's not too bad. And Sakura is easy on the eyes, though obsessed with that Uchiha. Kiba rolled his eyes, and nodded in agreement. About par for the course, I guess. My team has that shy, weird girl Hinata who barely talks at all. Then there's Shino, who's just way too quiet for my tastes. Guy hardly says a single word, but when he does talk it's all long-winded and complex. Naruto and Kurama both sniggered at the boy's misfortune. Hey, at least your sensei's not as crazy as mine is. He really had us going, thinking he was going to fail all three of us. Kiba's eyes bugged out a bit at that. Your teacher did that too. What is it with these jonin making sure we can work well under pressure, huh? We're gonna get enough of that in the actual field, I think. Akamaru gave a bark of agreement. Kurenai-sensei told us that if we couldn't locate her together that she would fail all three of us. Then she only gave us an hour to do so, and used chili bombs on Akamaru and me, to weaken our sense of smell. Naruto shook his head while smiling at the description. At least your sensei wasn't as crazy as mine was. He didn't even tell us it was a teamwork exercise. At first he used 2 bells, and said that whoever didn't get one would be sent back to the academy, and would go without dinner for the day. Kiba and Akamaru both blanched at that. You got them both though, didn't you? Naruto nodded while putting his hand behind his head and grinning. Kurama chose that point to yawn and jump up onto Naruto's head for a nap. Furball. What's up? You never sit up there. Kurama just swatted him in the nose and went straight to sleep. Ungrateful little bugger, that's what you are. Naruto felt himself grumbling about the embarrassment as Kiba laughed at his discomfort. What's worse is that we apparently have a training exercise for the next week. The guy also won't even tell us where we're going or what we're doing. I'm telling you, he just loves to keep us guessing. Naruto opened the door and threw an accusatory finger in the direction of Kakashi at the dinner table. And there's the bastard now. Kiba blinked once or twice before feeling his eyes fly wide open. You're training with Hatake Kakashi, the Hatake Kakashi, and you are complaining about it. Why? Kiba's loud outburst caused Kurama to angrily swat the boy on the nose with his tail, not even looking up from his nap. Well now, calm down a bit, Kiba. As part of an agreement to help Naruto and his team, I'll be working some with you as well after next week. Don't worry, it won't take long for what I have to teach you, and I think you'll pick it up pretty quick. Kiba's grin turned feral as he looked at the man across the table. That's more like it. Pipsqueak here definitely will need your help if he plans to beat me to the Kage seat. But let's not make it too easy for him, shall we? Kakashi perked up a bit at this and smiled. Kurama, sensing the growing anger of his partner, jumped off of Naruto's head, barking at Akamaru as he did so. The other dog dislodged itself from Kiba's head and bounded after the fox. Who you calling short, huh? I just haven't hit my growth spurt yet, dang it. Just you wait, I'm gonna end up way taller than you by the time we're adults. Kiba growled at his younger brother, and before Kakashi knew it the two were wrestling on the floor. Kakashi moved to interrupt the two, but was cut off by the appearance of a young woman, with long brown hair and big brown eyes. She had the marks of the Inuzuka clan on her cheeks, though seemed less feral than some did, with full pouting lips and a sizable bust. Kakashi tried to keep his eyes on appropriate territory though, as the woman seemed to walk in with an intimidating presence. Naruto and Kiba stopped roughhousing almost immediately, and turned to give her sheepish looks together. Hey Hana, how was work? Naruto tried to keep the nervous out of his voice as she reached down and separated the two of them forcefully, by pulling sharply on their ears. Oh. Do you have to do this, sis? We have company. Naruto's whine was matched by an almost similar one from Kiba. Don't give me that. If you want to act like you should behave for company, don't roughhouse in front of them. Now, go get changed for dinner. Both boys gave her pleading looks. Nope. Not falling for it. I have 3 partners that can all give a better set of puppy dog eyes than you two. Now get! Kiba and Naruto slumped their shoulders as they trundled off to their rooms. Sorry about that. Those two know to behave better than that, but I think the day's excitement got to them a little. Hana rolled her shoulders as she took up a seat next to Kakashi. So, what are you over for? Is there something up with Naruto or Kiba's team? Kakashi shook his head in the negative and coughed once, trying to get his voice to work. God, she's hot. Jiraiya would have a field day with this girl. Harsh, while seemingly with a softer side, and a family of pharaoh warrior pride-focused Kakashi, she's your junior by several years, but those breasts. It was at times like these that Kakashi was very glad for his face mask. Well, it's a little of both. You see, Naruto had already agreed to see if he would help his teammate Sakura in learning medical jutsu, and I have a bit of an extended training trip planned for his team. However, in order to get your mom to agree, I had to train Kiba in summoning the Nin dogs I hold the contract for. Hana's eyes widened at that, and she nodded for him to continue. When he was done explaining, she heard the boys exit the shower room and call out that it was her turn. I'd be more than glad to help, with that sort of offer on the table. I'm going to go freshen up, back in a bit. As she whisked away, Kakashi felt a small head butt itself against his leg. Looking down, he saw Kurama there, and Kakashi idly reached to scratch his head only for the fox to growl and nip at him. Humph, see if I give you any treats. Kakashi thought of Hana's retreating backside for a moment, and pulled out his book to disguise the reason for his giggling. Hee, though I'd definitely like to give her a treat or two. Naruto groggily rolled up and out of bed. The alarm he'd set was going off, and Kurama, who was sleeping by his head, swatted it angrily, silencing the infernal device. It read 6 a.m., so Naruto got up, showered, dressed, ate, and then left quickly for the training ground. Kurama jumped on his shoulders just as he was leaving to wind around his neck. I wonder just where we're going for our training exercise. Will we get to leave the village maybe? Still fighting off the morning sleep effects, Naruto put on a burst of speed to get to the meeting spot. When he arrived, he saw Sasuke already there, a small backpack on his back with several scrolls out in front of him that he was reading. Morning, Sasuke. What you reading? The raven-haired boy looked up, and then breathed out a small jet of fire to the side. Whoa, you're already that far along in fire manipulation? The envy in Naruto's voice was quite obvious. It's not too surprising. I've been using fire jutsus since I was 8 or so I've had a couple of years to really get them down. Sasuke rolled up his scrolls and stood up to head closer to Naruto. Though when I went over my notes, I did realize something interesting. You and your pet are going to be hopeless against me in a fight of ninjutsu. Naruto stiffened at that, and Kurama looked up with anger in his eyes. What the hell do you mean by that, you bastard? Sasuke just smirked and shook his head. Someone wasn't paying too much attention in the elemental jutsu class, were they? Sasuke's smile only got wider as the blonde began to fume at the ears. Settle down, Naruto. I'm just saying that fire beats wind. Your type is hopeless against mine in a straight-up ninjutsu fight. Naruto frowned a bit at that, but then a smirk came to his face. Yeah, but wind beats lightning, and water beats fire. So if Sakura and I work together, we can totally best you. Sasuke looked a bit taken aback by that, but smiled a bit in return. I guess some of the Inuzuka have a brain after all. As Naruto continued to get flustered, it eventually drew a small chuckle from the Uchiha. This caused Naruto to pause for a moment. The bastard hasn't chuckled since Itachi. Is this how he treats friends now? Naruto had a good number of friends, but Sasuke had always been a friendly rival at best. Since the time when they were kids and their first taijutsu match came to an even draw, the two boys had wanted to best each other in everything. Sasuke recognized a fellow competitor in Naruto, and it had led the two to become close. After the massacre though, Sasuke had become colder and harsher for a few years. He was just recently starting to tone down the frigidness of his insults, and Naruto had felt the first opening in his armor. Maybe he was going to get a good friend back over the next little while. Earth to Naruto! Sasuke's shout caught Naruto off guard, and made the boy yelp and rub his ears sensitively. Kurama yipped in annoyance. You were spacing out for a second there. Naruto waved him off, and the Uchiha smirked. But yeah, some of the time I had assumed the teachers just liked you, so they didn't grade your homework as harshly. It's nice to see I was wrong for a change. Naruto still bristled slightly at the comment, but nodded his head and smiled anyways. Good morning, you guys. Sakura came across the small bridge to the training ground, looking very tired, but still exceedingly fashionable. Cha! Would have been a good morning if we didn't have to get up so damn early. Naruto peered at the girl closely, and then lightly sniffed the air. This drew odd looks from Sasuke and Sakura. When he was done, he had a slight frown on his face and was looking at Sakura. What? Do I smell bad to you, dog boy? Naruto growled at this, and Kurama gave a low yip of annoyance. I have a fox for a partner, thank you very much. And it's not that you smell bad, it's that you smell like you had a full shower and put a set of makeup on when we had to meet here at 7 in the morning. How damn early did you wake up? Sakura blushed slightly at that, and kicked one of the stones on the ground. I had to get up around 4 or so to get everything done. It was a bit of a pain to wake up that early though, especially since my mom had just come in from a shift at the hospital. Sakura stiffened slightly at the end of the statement, trying not to think on the early morning encounter. You woke up at 4 in the freaking morning? That's so damn early. Sakura, you can't do that, you need your beauty sleep, you know? Sasuke stiffened at Naruto's comment, catching the blonde's eye. What's up, Sasuke? Did I say something wrong? Sasuke just backed away a little bit, especially as a loud cracking sound was heard coming from his left. Hey, what's up? Why are you backing away so fast? It was at this moment that Kurama slinked from Naruto's shoulders and went to stand by Sasuke. Naruto. Never, ever tell a woman she needs more beauty sleep. Shinaro. Naruto turned just in time to see a heavily chakra-enhanced punch come flying at him and clobber him in the gut. Caught completely off guard, he was thrown a dozen paces before impacting with a nearby tree. So it was something I said. Naruto fought off the stars swimming in his vision as he looked over at a chuckling Fox and Uchiha. And you two traitorous bastards didn't even warn me. Kurama had the decency to look slightly guilty, but Sasuke merely chuckled at the pair's antics. That's something you have to learn on your own, knucklehead. It's all well and good to joke with siblings like that, but not random girls. Sasuke chuckled and walked over to the group. But that sort of lesson only really works when a girl gives it to you. Unaware of what he had said, the raven-haired boy turned to look at the bridge as he sensed Kakashi's approach. Cha! I'd like to give it to Sasuke. Sakura wiped quickly at her nose, trying to keep a nosebleed from coming on. Needing a distraction, Sakura noted that her watch was giving 10 to 15 minutes past 7. You're a bit late, sensei. Did something happen on the way here? Kakashi looked mildly up from his orange book and shrugged a bit. Since you guys don't know me too well yet, I'll let you in on a little secret. This is rather early for me. That got blinks from all three, even Naruto, who had just returned to the group. But you're 15 minutes late already. How can 15 minutes late be rather early for anything? Kakashi just chuckled and shook his head, dismissing the blonde. Right then. We'll be heading to training ground 44. You all know your way there, right? At this, all three of his genin shook their heads in the negative. Well then, the morning exercise for the lot of you is follow me. And just like that, Kakashi turned and started sprinting through the village. What? Damn it, I swear this guy gets off on doing this. Naruto and Kurama were already in motion and Sakura and Sasuke came up close behind. Naruto, can you get a trace on his scent? Naruto nodded and then closed his eyes for a brief second, catching the scent. Got it. I don't think I'll lose him, but we should still try to keep pace. Naruto fired more chakra to his legs and smiled as the others raced to keep up. A large forbidden gate was the first thing that came into sight as the three-man cell of Team 7 came upon training ground 44. Naruto was the first on the scene, with Kurama bounding up soon after. Naruto quickly spotted Kakashi, standing by a marked entranceway with the number 1 on it, reading an orange-colored book and giggling madly. Damn it, I'm really out of breath, and he doesn't even look winded. Just what the hell is this guy made of? Taking a few moments to catch his breath, Naruto turned as his teammates approached. Sasuke seemed to be huffing slightly as well, but Sakura was by far the worst. She had her hands on her knees, and was bending over while looking slightly sickly. Damn it, did you have to run so fast, Naruto? I could just barely keep you in sight the whole time. Sakura pulled a water canteen from her pack and took a long swig of water from it. He did what he was supposed to though, which is not lose track of my scent. Kakashi walked over to the group, pocketing his book as he did. If you were having trouble keeping up, it just means I need to work all three of you on your physical training as well. Naruto perked up as Kakashi was talking, sensing 2 inbound presences. He pulsed his chakra once, and Kakashi blinked in his direction as he did. The moment after, a large smile broke out on the boy's face. Kakashi-sensei, why didn't you tell me that Hana was going to be coming to train with us? I would have helped her pack last night. Kakashi blinked at the boy in astonishment. He can sense them accurately from 500 to 600 feet away? I need to ask about that trick of his, it seems rather useful for a tracker. Kakashi coughed and motioned the 3 charges closer to him. Yes, well, I had intended it to be a surprise. Have to hand it to those Inuzuka senses though. Guess I'll have to work harder when I want to get the drop on you. Naruto smirked at that, and clasped his hands behind his head in a grinning manner. Our compatriots for this training exercise will meet us inside the forest proper. In the meantime, I'll be explaining a little bit about what we'll be doing during this week. Kakashi pulled a map out of his pocket, detailing several sections of the forest behind him. We are going to be training in the southeastern corner of the woods. That's this section here. Kakashi pointed to a part of the map that was covered in sparse trees and a small stream. Our goal is to train in chakra control, elemental manipulation, combat exercises, and combat training. As Kakashi listed off the goals, he ticked off 4 fingers. Chakra control and combat exercises will be done together as a team. Elemental manipulation will be done separately, as will combat training. My goal is to have all of you master at least the basics of elemental manipulation for one element, while here, as well as pick up the basics of your weapons. Oh man! What weapons are we gonna be working on? Something really awesome like a halberd, I bet? Naruto's energy seemed to have recovered already, and Kakashi rolled his eyes while smiling lightly behind his mask. Naruto, let him finish explaining. Sakura gave the boy a glare out of the corner of her eye. How do you still have energy left to be hyperactive after that run anyways? Kakashi coughed once to get their attention. The weapons I have in mind for you will be suited towards your purpose on the team. Sakura, as the genjutsu specialist, you will be training in whips and chains. This got a lewd whistle from Naruto, and quick blush and punch to the blonde from Sakura. Kakashi and Sasuke carried on as if nothing had happened. Naruto as the tracker will get a ranged weapon to injure targets that are escaping from a distance, such as a bow. Sasuke finally will be the close-up assassination and combat expert, and so will be training with the Tanto for quick kills and close. If you pay attention, each of these will also be enhanced through your specific elemental affinities as well. Sasuke seemed to be grinning at the explanation of the team roles, and Naruto and Sakura were listening with rapt attention, former spat forgotten. I'll explain more about utilizing elements with weapons during our training. For now, let me explain the training session schedules. Each session will be for approximately 3 hours, with the remaining time being given to your team for survival purposes. The last bit got a look of confusion from all three. Holding up a hand, Kakashi stifled their burgeoning questions. Before we get started, I would like all three of you to hand over your packs wordlessly, but with looks of continued consternation, the three handed over their belongings. A second later, Hana and Anko arrived. Wow, Kakashi, I've never have seen you arrive on time before. This group of blockheads must be something special for you to put in the extra miles. Anko, unknown to any of the genin, quickly had their drawn ire. Her trench coat was open, and her posture and look was giving a free show to the crowded genin. This whore is so going down. Sasuke felt his hand snake towards his kunai holster even as he narrowed his eyes and tensed his muscles ever so slightly. Cha! Who's this bitch think she is calling us blockheads? Sakura kept her thoughts and expressions neutral, but a slight frown marred her calm image. Who the hell are you calling a blockhead, you snake-smelling wacko? Naruto yelled out loudly for all three of them, even as Kurama yipped in aggression. A split second later, a kunai whizzed by Naruto's cheek, drawing the blonde up short and raising the hackles on Kurama's fur. You even have a feisty one on the team. Their blood is always the tastiest. Naruto felt a tongue lick across his cheek as he stood frozen in shock, the woman moving too fast for him to follow. Delicious. My name's Anko Mitarashi. Blockhead, what's yours? Naruto shivered slightly and tried to stutter his name out several times. That's Naruto Inuzuka, my little brother. Okay, Anko? Leave him alone, he didn't mean anything with the comment. Anko frowned down at Naruto before straightening up and shrugging her shoulders. Hell, if Hana's willing to vouch for you, I guess I'll leave off. Man, though, your blood was tempting. I hope I get to work with you in combat training. Naruto tried to smile weakly and Kurama seemed as equally cowed, both of them backing up towards the safety of their teammates. So these are the packs, huh, Kakashi? Kakashi nodded at Anko and she picked one up and tossed it to Hana. We'll meet you in the tower after we've set up the food drops, alright? Kakashi nodded once more and the two older women turned to leave. Try not to get eaten, Naruto. The giant spiders are really aggressive, so stay out of the northeastern sector, okay? Hana called back at her little brother as she leapt into the woods. Hey! Where are they going with our packs? What gives, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi turned a disinterested eye towards his outspoken charge. Oh, that's the survival part of the exercise. There will be survival goods scattered throughout the forest in various drop spots, which you'll have to find and retrieve over the course of the week. You know, your tent, your food, stuff like that. And you only get 4 hours a day to search as well, so good luck with that. That is, if you want a full night of sleep. The man's smile and tone caused 3 shocked looks of disbelief on his students. God, this is too good to pass up. Kakashi whipped out a camera and took a quick shot of the looks of outrage and disgust. Oh yeah, that's a team picture right there. Seeing that Naruto was about to explode again, Kakashi reached into his robes and pulled out a small black sphere and tossed it to the boy. Before you get upset, the point of Hunterine teams is to travel light and move as a unit. You'll never be able to do that if I don't train you how to now. Naruto glowered slightly, while his teammates seemed to be mollified. Kurama for his part was letting out a low growl over the situation. Now then, that is a chakra index sphere. It will let me know how much of an affinity an individual has towards certain elements, as well as the amount of chakra potential and chakra capacity available. Seeing only Sakura following along, Kakashi sighed heavily. Sakura, if you would please? The girl nodded, brightening a bit at being acknowledged. Chakra potential is the amount that a person can be expected to develop in their stores over the course of their careers. Chakra capacity is how much chakra a person has currently in their stores. The amount of affinity one has towards a given nature determines how much a person can change their chakra from a denatured state to a natured state. Both boys seemed to blink at the explanation, but nodded their heads in understanding. Alright, that being said, why don't you go first, Naruto? Sasuke can then go afterwards. Naruto nodded and focused some of his chakra into the sphere. A second later, several marks appeared on the small orb. There were 8 green marks, 1 bright and 7 dark. There was 1 white mark, with 15 black marks above that, and finally, there were 6 gray marks, with 12 black marks above that section. Kakashi let out a low whistle and felt his eyebrow rise at the results. Not bad at all. What's it mean? What's it mean? Naruto was looking at the sphere intently, trying to make heads or tails of the device. The green marks are your elemental chakra. Right now, you can only convert 1/6 of your total chakra into wind-natured chakra. As Kakashi pointed to the sphere, Naruto looked over the markings more closely. The nature chakras are all colored in that way. Blue for water, red for fire, green for wind, yellow for lightning and brown for earth. The white section is for yin-natured chakra, and the black is for yang-natured chakra. Seeing looks of confusion on all 3 faces, Kakashi grimaced slightly. Yin chakra is for illusion-based techniques, in which you only have 1 mark of affinity. Yang chakra is for physical manipulation, or giving jutsus their form and shapes, or giving life or physicality to things. The looks of confusion only got worse. Don't worry too much about it, Naruto. Just know that with your yin affinity so low, you're probably never going to be a genjutsu specialist. Naruto nodded once and Kakashi sighed before continuing. The last section there is your chakra capacity and potential. The gray marks are your current capacity, which is also what drew my eye. Each mark is considered the amount needed for 2 A-ranked chakra-intensive techniques. Your capacity could currently support 12. Both Naruto and Sasuke looked surprised at this. Naruto was grinning and Sasuke was slightly frowning. For reference, I only have about 4 marks worth of capacity and potential, so you already have me beat in that area. Naruto's grin only grew wider. Ha! I told Kiba I'd beat him to the Kage seat. With a chakra potential like that, there's no way I'm gonna lose. Kakashi shook his head before swatting the boy on the head lightly. Don't let it go to your head too fast. Just because you have a lot of chakra doesn't mean you're the strongest out there. With your yin affinity so low, any deserving genjutsu specialist could take you right out. Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled weakly in admonishment. Besides, you also have to work hard to control that amount of chakra, so your chakra control sessions are going to be painful at best for you. Naruto nodded and passed the orb to Sasuke. Sasuke took it, a scowl on his face. Alright now, go ahead Sasuke. Sasuke pressed his hands on the orb and channeled some of his chakra through it. While he was doing so, Kakashi was thinking quickly to himself. With access to that much yang chakra, we can definitely find some way to speed up Naruto's training. I'll have to see if the third will let me pass on a kenjutsu or 2 to this group. As Kakashi was thinking, Sasuke's orb started to light up. Unlike Naruto, there were 5 bars of glowing color, 1 for each element displayed on Sasuke's orb. In addition, there was 1 extra yellow bar and 2 extra red bars. His yin and yang chakra each came in at 2 marks, and there were 2 gray marks and 12 black marks for his capacity and potential respectively. An exceptionally balanced showing, with almost as much room for improvement as Naruto as should be expected. Sasuke smirked lightly, handing off the orb to Sakura. The girl seemed to shrink slightly while holding the ball, and turned pleading eyes toward Kakashi. Sensei, do you really need to know this information? I don't want to look bad in front of these 2. Sasuke blinked indifferently at that, but Naruto gave her a surprised look. Don't worry too much about it, Sakura. A team is picked to balance each other out. Naruto has high reserves, and will develop a build to take advantage of that. Sasuke will have a balanced build, and will act as the linchpin against general combatants. Your job is to be the support, meaning direct confrontation and high chakra usage will not be as necessary. What that orb tells you is not final too. If a person fails to develop themselves properly, their potential over time will lessen. Conversely, if you work hard enough, you can get past any limit. Sakura brightened a bit at this, but the ending of his little speech seemed to have soured Sasuke's mood slightly. The girl nodded and focused her will into the sphere. Not entirely surprising, but you'll also need some work, though opposite to Naruto, Sakura's sphere had 1 blue and brown click, with 4 darkened ones above each. Her chakra capacity was only half a click, but her potential was 5 clicks. Her yin chakra had 5 clicks, while her yang only held 1. Alright then, the training will proceed in the following pattern. In the morning, you will have chakra control exercises as a team, followed by elemental training individually. Each will proceed for 3 hours. Then there will be a 2-hour break for you to search the forest to find food and necessary supplies, as well as eat lunch. After that, 3 hours of individual weapons training. Finally, in the evening, we will have some combat exercises. Your time is yours after that. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura only shared one thought at that moment. How much time is ours after that exactly? Seeing the confused faces of his students, Kakashi pulled out his orange book and began reading. He did this to hide his eventual development of giggles. If I hadn't already snapped that team photo, this one would almost be better. Straightening himself slightly, Kakashi dusted off his pants absent-mindedly before turning to the group. Today's the first day of training, guys, so let's get in there, shall we? It's already almost 8, and I really would like to start before then. The 3 jonin nodded dimly and leapt after their sensei, following him into a wooded area of the forest. We'll meet up with Anko and Hana after the morning chakra exercises, so for now, we get to learn about the 2 things that make a leaf shinobi one of the best in the elemental nations. Kakashi turned his eyes towards his students, fishing for a response. Naruto was quick to bite. You mean our teamwork and drive to succeed? Kakashi's smile only grew as he nodded to the boy. Kakashi pointed to a base of a tree, where there were coils of ropes with heavy weights in the center. Now, for your first day of chakra exercises, you are going to begin by learning how to climb trees with your palms. At this, Kakashi paused as he looked over at his group of genin expectantly. Sensei, do you mean with our hands? But isn't that easy? Sakura was the one to reply this time, and Kakashi only smiled further. Well, if I meant that you could use your hands, I would have said that. Here, I'll give you a visual example of what I mean. At this, Kakashi walked up to the nearest tree, placed his hands flat on the trunk so that it was not holding anything, and then pulled his body up before placing one hand higher than the other. He then supported himself momentarily, and repeated the motion, bringing his hands even. And once you can all reach the top of the tree this way, I'll teach you how to get down more easily. Kakashi pulled his knees to his chest, and planted his feet on the tree. By walking down the tree. As the masked ninja turned himself around, he smiled at the surprised faces on all of his students. Minato was right, the looks are worth the job in and of itself. Holy crap! That was awesome! Tell us what to do first, that was totally badass. Naruto's outburst for once did not draw Kurama's ire, who seemed to be admiring the accomplishment just as much. Naruto! Stop swearing! It's not right to be so improper, even if we are with our team. Sakura yelled at the blonde, adding a slight flick to his forehead for additional admonishment. The blonde grabbed at his forehead and growled at the girl. Shut up, you two, we have to hear how to perform the exercise. Sasuke shook his head at his 2 teammates' antics. While they seem competent, they need to focus better. Thank you, Sasuke. For this exercise, the purpose is to get comfortable with gathering chakra in your hands and dispelling it continuously. This should not be terribly difficult for you, as the hands are the place where seals are formed, so the process should not be terribly foreign. However, dispelling a constant amount, at the right rate, will still provide some useful challenge. Kakashi then turned his eye towards Sakura. The second major component of this exercise is building up muscles and endurance. This training week is going to be hard on each of you physically, but it will benefit you in the long run. To start now. Kakashi then held up the 2 pieces of rope that had the weights attached. Written on them were the words teamwork and dedication. Those things are going to be rather heavy, aren't they? Naruto's question was stuttered out, hesitation apparent in his voice. At Kakashi's smiling nod, the blonde sighed long and hard before glaring at the man. While I'll appreciate this later, right now I hate you, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi shrugged and tossed the weights forward, catching the boy off guard as they hit him in the stomach, and he fell to the ground. Those will be stretched between the trees that the 3 of you will be climbing on. The weights, if you notice, have a pulley system attached, so that someone higher up can divert some of the weight to themselves while a person who has fallen reclaims their position. The only rule is that you can only use your hands while advancing up the tree. When you are not advancing, you can brace yourself with your legs, but once anyone begins to advance again, you must return to relying only on your hands. Kakashi then turned and threw a kunai harshly behind him, embedding itself roughly halfway up the tree. Not a bad distance. I'd say about 15 to 20 feet. Turning back, Kakashi smiled at his students. That mark is your goal for the next 3 days. By the end of that time, I want to start tree walking individually, but I doubt any of you will complete that by the time the week is out. Kakashi frowned slightly at the lack of reaction out of his team. Not a single one of them seemed excited for the exercise. Alright, so why isn't anyone jumping around about how useful this training is now? Kakashi's raised eyebrow looked over the group. Well, because besides improving our chakra control and physical strength, what's the real advantage to learning this way with our hands? Couldn't we do the same thing and start with our feet anyways? Kakashi grimaced slightly at having Naruto call him out. There are 2 distinct advantages to learning with your hands first. One of them is that it will allow you to learn how to make a strong hold on a target, especially important if an individual is trying to escape from your grasp when being hunted down. Sakura perked up at this, her eyes lighting up a bit. You mean by pretending the person's body was a tree? That way you can grasp onto them and it will be harder for them to get away? Kakashi nodded to that, smiling at the girl's blush for getting something correct. The second thing that is useful is that learning how to expel a constant amount of chakra from any point on the body is advantageous to chakra control. Hands are the easiest location to get this concept down, and so we begin our training by focusing there. Feet, on the other hand, are the most difficult location to learn. By tackling the hands first, we can easily progress to mastering the feet afterwards. Kakashi gave a slightly pointed look to Naruto and Sasuke. By starting with things that we can master easily, we can make sure that the more difficult concepts are understood and applied more readily. I would never ask the three of you to master tree climbing in a week unless I was sure that you absolutely needed the power boost it could give for some dire reason. Sasuke grimaced at the fact that they were apparently taking the slow route, but nodded nonetheless in understanding. Now then, why don't you three begin? Sakura, you should take the middle position, and have Sasuke and Naruto take up one of the trees on either your left or right. Seeing as how the process of sticking to the tree will come easier to you, why don't you take over for leading this exercise? The girl blinked at being left in charge, but nodded in acceptance. I have to go take care of a couple things for your afternoon training, so I'll be back in a bit. However, Enko and Hana both wanted you to know that they'll be making rounds to check in your progress. Any sign of slacking off, and I'll call the whole training trip. Kakashi smiled as he saw Sasuke stiffen slightly at that. Good, that'll make sure they are all nice and driven. As he was walking off, he heard the sounds of the three rushing towards the trees to get into position. Not 5 seconds afterwards, he turned at the sound of a sudden loud noise, where he saw Naruto bowled over on the ground, apparently having exploded off the tree from channeling too much chakra to his hands. Yeah, they're going to be an interesting group. Kakashi chuckled and pulled out his book, deciding one last egg was too good to miss. Oh, and Naruto, do try and not to make too much noise. Wouldn't want to attract any of the bloodthirsty predators around here, you know? Kakashi chuckled at the paling expression on his students' faces before disappearing into a swirl of leaves. Kakashi waited patiently outside the Hokage's office. He had a morning report to give about his team, and more than a few questions for the man. Still can't believe Sensei even wanted his son's identity kept from me. Guess there really was a reason to keep it under wraps. Though Kakashi looked out over the village. The villagers were unaware of the Jinchuriki living in their midst, and compared to the treatment that the villagers gave to a Nine-Tails puppet during the seasonal festivals, Naruto had gotten off with much less grief than originally. Makes me glad I made that trade with Asuma. Without that, I would have missed the opportunity to work with Sensei's son. The Hokage's office door opened at that time, and Kakashi was ushered in as a fellow jonin left the room. From the downcast look on the man's face, that team had apparently not passed their genin exam. Ah, Kakashi. I take it that the training exercise was a success. As I processed a training mission request earlier, Kakashi nodded to the Hokage, settling himself into the chair across from the venerable old man. Yes, they did very well, and learned the concept of teamwork almost too easily. However, Sasuke and Sakura both seemed willing to sacrifice Naruto's well-being rather quickly. Still, they are at least getting along from what I observed so far. Sarutobi nodded at this description, asking Kakashi to continue. However, Sasuke seems definitely pleased at the willing training already. I'm hoping to temper that, and help them develop individual styles over the course of this week, but I fear he may still be set on achieving his revenge. Sarutobi sighed at this, and pulled his pipe out of his mouth. Does the boy show concern for the well-being of either of his teammates? Kakashi shook his head in the negative, drawing a second sigh. We have to be careful with molding that team of yours into a Hunter Nin squad. I've the council breathing down my neck about protecting the Sharingan as a village Kekkei Genkai, so I cannot let the boy become a flight issue. Kakashi nodded, taking a moment to look solemn for once. I think this team is going to be a challenge for me. I'll have 2 high-priority targets to watch out for on missions, both in the last Namikaze and the last Uchiha. That's not even to mention what I believe is a village secret, and Sakura herself the third nodded in regard to that, linking his fingers together in thought. I have reviewed some of Danzo's files and come across a few disturbing things. It seems that she is a legacy of Orochimaru's research, though not in the ways that would be expected. Her biological mother died in childbirth, and she was adopted by her current family. However, because Orochimaru was involved and the experiments were of an unknown nature, Danzo had her placed with a family of ninja in case of any complications. The third turned and coughed heavily for a moment, waving off help from Kakashi. It should be considered lucky then that the Mokutan has returned, and apparently with someone that can be considered loyal to Konoha. The third nodded in agreement, but frowned as he looked fixedly at Kakashi. Your report also mentions possible feelings between Sasuke and Sakura. Though I know this will probably go outside of your normal mission parameters, you must at all costs keep a romance from developing between them. If the legacy of the Senju was passed on with the Mokutan, and that were to combine with an Uchiha, that could be catastrophic for the shinobi populace. Kakashi frowned for a moment at the third, lost as to what he was referencing. Seeing his lack of understanding, the third sighed and rubbed at his temple absent-mindedly. The legacy of the Senju is something that should not have been passed down from a mere bloodline. It is a special type of chakra, separate from the Mokutan bloodline, that when combined with the power of the Uchiha's Sharingan, allows a person to recreate a small portion of reality around themselves at the cost of the loss of a Sharingan eye. Though its range is limited, the scope of its power is truly limitless. The third coughed again, and this time, felt himself sink back into his chair afterwards. That sort of power cannot be allowed to manifest once more. It is a power that no mortal should be allowed to wield. Kakashi nodded dimly, trying not to focus on his developing headache. I have some questions. Then Jiraiya was named as Naruto's godfather, and yet he has not been informed of either his existence or his Jinchuriki status. When will he be informed, and will he be taking Naruto from my tutelage when he is? The third paused before answering, taking the moment to refill and relight his smoking pipe. I have had to keep to Minato's final words, as it was something that he signed off on as a lost order as being Hokage. He wanted no one informed, save myself, the boy's adopted family, and his eventual jonin sensei. He said that Jiraiya should be informed in person when he chooses to take an interest in the raising of the child, as he knew that Jiraiya would be busy with his spy network and other duties to the village. The third took a long draw on his pipe, and it was at that time that Kakashi realized how elderly the man looked, couched within his baggy robes. Once Jiraiya takes an interest though, he was instructed to teach Naruto sealing, the toad summons and related techniques, and pass on Minato's original jutsu and jutsu goals. The third set the pipe down for a second, and gave Kakashi a sympathetic look. I know it will be hard to give up one of your students, but I think that the training from Jiraiya will be very beneficial to the boy. Kakashi nodded sadly, trying not to focus on the fact that he would inevitably lose a chance to solely train his sensei's son. Now then, what about this training you are having them do? Is there anything in particular that you want to talk about for training purposes or jutsu to pass along? Kakashi nodded, and the third took a long draw on his pipe while nodding. All right, brats. That's enough for now. The three of you managed to make it past Kakashi's mark, and your 3 hours are almost up. Take a break and rest for a bit before we start you on your elemental training. Enko's cry drew mixed reactions from the group of genin. Sasuke seemed to be frowning, wanting to continue. Naruto had a hapless grin on his face, just excited to be out and about. Sakura though looked relieved at the chance for a break. Seriously, these two are like automatons, they just don't stop going. Sakura sighed as she slowly, painfully made her way down the tree, keeping her pace even with the two boys. My arms hurt so much I don't think I'll even be able to smack that damn grin off of Naruto's face. Man, I can't wait. We're probably going to do something even more awesome for elemental training. Naruto was all grins as the three made their way to the ground. I can't wait to show this off to Kiba, he's going to be so jealous. Sasuke scoffed, and shot the boy a condescending look. Is all you care about showing off? Being a ninja is a serious thing, blockhead. Naruto shot the boy a dirty frown. Who are you calling a blockhead lightweight? I seem to remember pulling more of the weight than you did on this little team exercise. Sasuke scoffed again, and the condescending look only increased. That's because you were an idiot, and couldn't even get the training down at first. You even had to have Sakura remind you about the trick to keeping your chakra steady. Naruto growled at the boy and Kurama swatted him on the nose with his tail. The blonde blinked before looking away harshly from the raven-haired boy. Damn, 4 years of being in the academy, and I never realized how much of an ass you can be. Sakura at this point had had enough, and the three had just reached the ground in time for the girl to go over and smack the boy upside the head. Don't insult Sasuke-kun, you idiot! Naruto turned to the girl with an outraged look on his face. Don't call me an idiot, billboard brow. Sakura felt her chakra flare in response to the infamous insult. Better a billboard brow than a vacuum head. The girl felt her nails bite into her palm as she tried to rein in her flaring anger. Cha! If that sister of his wasn't right over there, I'd make sure that head of his was put to good use as a punching bag. Both of you shut up. Your annoying Sasuke voice was even and calm, but the tone had ice in it. Naruto amazingly quieted down, but kept giving the boy an angry glare. Sorry Sasuke-kun, I guess the training was a bit hard on me, so I'm a little wound up right now. Sakura blushed demurely at the boy, trying to hide her embarrassment by acting cute. Stupid Naruto making Sasuke-kun think I'm annoying. Did she really get tired from that training? I'll admit it was harsh, but a kunoichi should be capable of things like that. Sasuke frowned at the girl, before giving a dismissive grunt of acknowledgement. Well, now that the little soap opera is over with, how about you brats get over here? We have instructions from Kakashi for each of you on what you are to be doing for elemental training. The three nodded and proceeded over to the two women. Hana seemed to be focusing particularly on Sakura, obviously displeased about training the girl. Girl, you're going to be working with Hana. You two boys get to come with me. Sakura frowned at the derisive moniker, and at being separated from the two guys. Come on, Sakura. I need to get you started on water manipulation, as mastery over water is helpful in medical ninjutsu. The girl nodded, and followed after the Inuzuka woman. Once the two were out of sight of the rest of the group, Hana turned and smacked the girl upside the head. Hard. What the hell was that for? Sakura grit out between breaths. Her hand went to her head immediately, and she tried to fight off the stars that were dancing in front of her face. That was for hitting my little brother, and thinking you can get away with it. One more outburst like that, and I'll refuse to train you. Hana's face was set into a grim tone as she looked down at Sakura disapprovingly. I've half a mind to not do so right now, and the other half is fast starting to agree. Sakura's face quickly took on an apologetic look, but Hana held up a hand to the girl. Save it. I'm not the one you need to apologize to. As long as I've heard that you've done so before the end of the week, I'm not going to hold it against you. Sakura nodded in understanding, and the Inuzuka gave the girl a slight smile. I'll make you a deal though. Once you and Naruto become good teammates, if you notice something that I would disapprove of as a sister, you can threaten to tell me about it. That will surely give the same message as hitting him, and allow you to continue training with me. Sakura smiled at that, and nodded eagerly. So, what are we going to be learning about water manipulation? Hana smiled and pulled out a small bowl filled with rice. Sakura looked at the bowl oddly. She was sure that lunch was still several hours away, and felt herself growing hungry as she looked at the uncooked grains. Your goal is to make the rice wet using only your chakra. Sakura blinked a few times, then watched as Hana made the rice suddenly become damp. Don't look so surprised. The second Hokage was infamous for his water jutsu. Though we are in the land of fire, there are a number of people that are known for having water techniques run in the family. The water quickly disappeared before Hana handed the bowl off to Sakura. When calling upon water chakra, focus on the idea of making your chakra flow forwards and backwards, like waves on a shore. It will get easier with time as you practice this, but don't expect to get it down very quickly. The girl nodded in response, and Hana sat down on the ground across from the young genin. I've also heard you were fairly bright, so I'm going to be splitting your attention somewhat. While you're focusing on getting the elemental manipulation down, I'm going to be throwing some basic medical facts and jargon at you. After a bit, I'll leave you to this on your own, and just make sure we aren't interrupted by any of the forest friendlies. Sakura nodded, and bent her focus towards the rice grains in the bowl. Alright, you two. I'm going to be training the two of you together for elemental manipulation for one simple reason. Wind and fire, when used together, are explosively powerful. This got the two boys to give Anko an appraising look, but if you don't have the necessary teamwork to work together, you end up just having the techniques explode in your face. As such, Kakashi and I have decided to do a little bit of a different training than usual for the two of you. Naruto and Sasuke both blinked in surprise at each other before turning back to the woman with at least agreeable smiles. So, what's this awesome training you have whipped up for us? It must be something extra cool if we are going to be working together to get our elemental training down. Anko couldn't help the smile that crept across her face. That's right, Gaki, your ultra super badass training. As she paused for a few seconds and smiled inwardly as she finally noticed the stoic Uchiha take the bait. Don't burn the leaf. At this, she handed a slightly singed leaf to Sasuke, who noticed small embers in the center slowly creeping outwards. What? That has to be the most lame-ass training I've ever heard of. Naruto exclaimed, Kurama yipping in agreement from the boy's shoulders. Shut up and let me explain, idiot. Naruto, you need to focus on making your chakra razor sharp directly over the leaf. Imagine two edges of chakra grinding together into a fine point. Sasuke, you need to not only draw up your fire chakra as you have in the past, but use it to suppress the enhancement of the flames that Naruto's wind chakra will give to the embers on the leaf. Sasuke frowned at hearing his role in the training. Why do I have to make sure that Naruto doesn't screw the training up? Shouldn't he be using the wind chakra to put the flames out? Anko smiled at the boy, but not in a way that was at all comforting to the last Uchiha. Look, in order for Kakashi's plans for you two to work, you need to be able to manage and direct the heat that Naruto's wind chakra will enhance. If you can't do that, when the two of you team up, there will be nothing but an explosion in your face and charred corpses. What's the point of me teaming up with an idiot like him anyways? Based on the tree training today, he'd only get in my way and slow me down. Sasuke looked seriously irked by this turn in events, and the cuts and scrapes on his arms only added to his distress. Oh, shut up, you crybaby. So I fell a couple of times. It's not like you didn't fall any either. Sasuke gave the boy a vicious glare, and the two looked to be on the verge of fighting before kunai sliced both of their cheeks. Now listen here, brats, I'm out here helping Kakashi because he asked me real nicely. I'm not going to deal with punk brats like you mouthing off and trying to get out of training. Now shut up, sit down, and don't burn the leaf. If you can manage that for as long as I want you to over the next couple of days, I'll even pass on a couple of jutsu for you to practice on your free time and get down together, alright? That got the smirks the woman wanted out of the two boys. Of course, Kakashi already was going to have me teach them to you anyways, but you don't need to know that for now. Sounds drifted to Kakashi as he flitted through the forest, racing back to his new squad. They should be done with their basics for now, so I guess I should stop back and find out how they've been doing from their instructor. Still, I'm irked that the Hokage would not let me pass on the shadow clone to Naruto yet. The boys got the chakra reserve to handle it, but without his permission I really should not pass down any of the forbidden techniques. As Kakashi was nearing the clearing that he left the group in, he saw a large gout of flame suddenly leap up from the forest floor. God damn it, Sasuke. I swear you're trying to burn my eyebrows off at this rate. Kurama almost got singed with that one too, you bastard. As Kakashi landed in the clearing, he found a laughing Anko, a singed and pissed off looking Naruto, and a sneering Sasuke. If you can't handle your wind chakra, maybe you should go and work on it on your own more. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. If there's any reason it keeps exploding in flames, it's because you're trying to force the wind chakra too much, idiot. Naruto growled at the boy's verbal abuse, staring him down derisively. Now Sasuke, you'll get plenty of one-on-one training with me later. I need you and Naruto to get this training down though in order for some of the combined jutsus I have in mind for you two to work out. Kakashi smiled at the pair, drawing dirty looks from both of the young males. I guess the teamwork training hasn't been going so well today. Oh well, it should improve over time I hope. Kakashi-sensei, why does an awesome team like Kurama and I need to work with a loser like Sasuke? I mean, how hard would it be for one of us to pick up fire chakra too? Kakashi shook his head at the boy, smiling a little still. While it is possible for one to learn multiple natures, that usually isn't possible until after one has mastered at least one element. On top of that, it is usually exceedingly difficult to master a nature which opposes an individual's original affinity. Kakashi turned to look at Sasuke with a smile on his face. Because Sasuke has a lightning element, learning wind manipulation will be very difficult for him. His look shifted back to Naruto, the smile still on his face. At the same time, as you have a wind element, learning fire techniques will be exceedingly difficult for you. As such, in order to achieve your full potentials, it is tantamount that the two of you work together to address some of your pitfalls. The result was a bitter pill for the two boys to swallow, and after a quick glance at each other they turned harshly away, snorting at the same time. Anko was chuckling as she approached Kakashi and shaking her head at the antics of the two genin. They've been like this the whole time, Kakashi, and I have to admit, it is really damn funny. Kakashi sighed as he gave his fellow jonin a hangdog look. What was the longest they were able to keep it from exploding into flame? Anko just chuckled harder at the comment, getting a frown out of Kakashi. The longest the two of them have managed it so far is about a minute. They've got a long way before they can manage a full 3 minutes like you want. Anko's speech was littered with chuckles as she giggled at the antics of the two boys. That's just because this idiot keeps messing up. Both boys cried out, pointing an accusatory finger at the other. Before the fight could escalate, Kakashi quickly appeared between the two of them. Hey, I guess that's just what I should expect though. I mean, I didn't really think a washed-up clan like the Uchiha and a mongrel clan like the Inuzuka could pull such a hard training exercise off. Kakashi's voice was rather wistful as he looked off in the direction that Sakura was in. I guess I'll just go collect Sakura, and we'll wrap up this whole hunter-nin business. Maybe train as a regular genin cell. Kakashi smiled at the immediate reaction his words seemed to inspire. What? Give us one more chance, Kakashi-sensei. I promise we'll pull it off. Naruto turned pleading eyes on the jonin, and Kurama even offered up puppy dog eyes. Yeah, what Naruto said. We'll show you that the two rookies of the year can pull off anything. Sasuke seemed determined for a moment, and actually gave Naruto a positive smile for once. Kakashi turned a questioning look on the two of them. Well, in that case, I'll go gather Sakura up. If the next leaf you have is burned up by the time Anko and I return, I'm ending this training session. If not, you get to go find yourself some lunch in the forest. Kakashi smiled at the determined look he saw on their faces. As he left, Anko ambled over to his side. That was really underhanded of you. Anko's voice was a conspiratorial whisper, and caused Kakashi to give her an eye smile out of the corner of his eye. I'd only been laughing at and insulting the two to get under their skin, but you went straight for the jugular. Kakashi only let out a slight chuckle as they came into a clearing. There they found Sakura concentrating closely on a small bowl of rice. So, how's the banshee been doing, Hana? Hana looked over at the group, shushing Anko as they approached. The girl had a large scroll spread out on her lap, and seemed to be focusing intently on some worded passage. She's actually been doing alright, little bit outspoken at first, but she really gets down to work after a bit. Kakashi smiled a bit at hearing that. After the first display he saw, he was getting rather worried. Ah, Kakashi-sensei, welcome back. Where did you go earlier? Kakashi turned and looked at the pink-haired girl that had just looked up from her work. I had to stop by and talk to the Hokage for a bit. Give a mission report on the team's first exercise with the bell test. Sakura paled slightly at being reminded of the almost scarring experience. Other than that, not much else. Sakura blinked before fixing Kakashi with a heated glare. Wait a minute, you only had that to do and yet it took you almost 6 hours to get back here. Kakashi blinked for a moment, then put his hand behind his head and smiled absently. Well, I might have had to help an old lady or two across the street, you know, things like that. Sakura narrowed her eyes further at the man, but didn't say anything in response. Anyways, it's almost time for the three of you to go on your first food gathering hunt. Why don't we go meet up with Sasuke and Naruto? Sakura continued to give him a sly look, but took to her feet anyways. Thanks for your help, Hana-senpai. I'll make sure to keep practicing later tonight, and get this down as soon as I can. Hana shook her head in amazement but continued to smile at the girl. Don't worry too much about getting it down quickly. Elemental manipulation usually takes people years to master, so it will be a while before you master this step. Sakura smiled and nodded, before running over to Kakashi's side. The man smiled and ruffled the girl's hair, getting a blush from Sakura in return. As Kakashi returned to the training ground he left Naruto and Sasuke in, he came upon a strange sight. Both boys seemed to be extremely quiet, and extremely still. Their faces were completely blank, and in between them was a leaf that was hardly even singed at all. He blinked in surprise, and as he stepped forward he absent-mindedly crushed a branch underneath his foot. Gah! Naruto leapt back from the leaf, and Sasuke was suddenly replaced by a fallen log as a gout of flame leaped 10 feet into the air. Damn it, Kakashi-sensei, we had that down until you showed up. Sasuke walked back into the clearing, his clothes lightly singed from the near miss. Well, it looks like you two managed to pull off the 3-minute mark I wanted. Starting tomorrow, as soon as you both can manage that at the start of the training, you can work on developing your individual manipulation. I think Naruto is going to have to work on his control for a bit longer though, judging from that little display. Naruto grinned absently to himself, and Sasuke merely smirked in agreement. Now then, I need to meet up with your trainers. Why don't you three go find yourselves something to eat in the woods for the time being? Getting nods from the two boys, Kakashi smiled as they disappeared into the woods. Hey, wait up you two. You left without me, damn it. Sakura leapt up into the trees, racing to keep up with her comrades. I can't believe you two left without me. What the hell was the deal with that? Naruto smirked as he turned to Sakura. We just knew you'd be able to catch up is all, Sakura. Naruto paused as he landed on a branch, smiling back at the girl. Besides, Sasuke and I are riled up from all that sitting around, you know? Naruto turned to his teammate, hoping to get some backup. Maybe you're riled up, I just was trying to get away from the annoying sound of your voice. Though Sasuke's words were biting, he was smiling friendly at Naruto. Bah! Whatever, you just like hogging the spotlight is all. Naruto waved off Sasuke's response as he turned back to Sakura. Now, what awesome stuff were you learning with my sister, huh? Sakura smiled wickedly at Naruto. Well, I learned how someone always sleeps with their favorite fox friend to keep away nightmares? Naruto looked stricken at that. What? Hana told you that? Sakura's grin only grew wider. No, but you just did. Sakura's smile was all the way across her face as Naruto gave her one of his dirtiest looks ever. I hate you both right now, you know that, right? Naruto's deadpan face was enough to get a small smile even out of Sasuke. So, where should we start looking for those food drops, huh? Sasuke stopped on a nearby branch, catching the attention of the other two. We should be far enough away from the training area now to start searching. I figured that they probably wouldn't leave too many foodstuffs near our training area, as that'd be too easy. The others nodded in agreement, and Sasuke turned to Naruto with a smile on his face. So, picking up any sense, Naruto? Naruto and Kurama both blinked at Sasuke before closing their eyes in unison. I got something near here, but there are a lot of scents similar to Anko-sensei near it. We probably have some food of ours in a snake-infested area. Sasuke nodded in confirmation. I'll lead the way, so you guys just follow me. I'll stop outside of the smells range so we know just how close we can get. The two nodded and proceeded to leap through the trees. Naruto stopped them after a while, a single fist held up silently. The motion was hardly necessary though. That is a lot of snakes. Sakura for once was left dumbfounded. Ahead of them was a snake hive. The ground and trees seemed alive. There was a number of them writhing over the trees, along the ground, and surrounding a hole in the ground where the snakes seemed to be pouring. Yeah, and they are also our main problem. The smell of the food is coming from inside that hole. Sasuke turned to look at Naruto, and shook his head. I know how to clear them out. Give me your explosive notes. Sakura blinked at the boy, before pulling one from her weapons pouch. Naruto gave the boy a grimace, before pulling out a wad of paper. The rest of mine are in my pack, sorry. But I thought we'd at least have our camping supplies with us, so I packed most of mine with my other gear. Sasuke grimaced at the answer, but nodded in acceptance. Naruto for his part handed 12 over, making the boy give him a questioning look. I was told to always keep my explosives note on me, in case I was separated from my equipment. Sasuke blinked, but nodded again in agreement. I only need 4. Sakura, take yours back. I'll add 1 of mine, and we can use 3 of Naruto's. Naruto grinned, and rubbed the back of his head while smiling. 4 explosive notes were quickly lined up on kunai and flung towards the corners of the hole. Naruto watched the explosives flying towards the hole, and at the last second Sasuke shot out a large fireball, racing towards the center. Naruto kept his eyes on the explosion as it happened, staring straight into the burgeoning firestorm. Sasuke did not even seem to be paying attention, jumping to the ground and racing towards the hole even as snakes fled quickly from the destruction. Naruto, stop staring at the explosion and move, damn it! This is no time to be gawking around like a loser. Naruto shook himself to see Sakura and Sasuke racing away from the hole, pulling along what looked to be a large backpack with the Inuzuka crest on the side. That crazy bitch put all of my stuff in a snake hole? Oh, I am so getting back at her later. The crazy snake bitch. Naruto jumped down and took some of the weight from his teammates, throwing a spare explosive note behind him as the snakes approached. Naruto stopped to watch in glee as the snakes were blown to pieces by the explosion. Naruto, less staring, more running. This is seriously uncool, you know. Sakura's screech got Naruto moving again, racing to catch up to the retreating forms of his teammates. Anko suddenly looked over towards the far horizon. In the distance, she could see large amounts of smoke, and what seemed to be the flickering lights of fire. That's the direction of the snake hive. Those damn brats got the Inuzuka pack first, go figure. The woman chuckled as she jumped down the tree, joining Kakashi and Hana, who had taken to idle chat after discussing their students' progress. Damn fine bunch of kids you got there, Kakashi. They went straight for the snake hive drop first, one of the harder ones and with the most stuff. Don't know if that makes them gutsy or stupid, but either way I'm impressed by the amount of firepower they're packing. Hana giggled at that, getting both to spare the younger ninja a glance. Mom's always having Kiba and Naruto listen to her lectures about practicing and preparing properly. Naruto seemed to take to some of them, including carrying his full explosive payout on his person at all times. Kakashi felt his eyes widen at that. Well, there's nothing wrong with carrying 3 or 4 explosive notes at all times, Anko mused, sitting herself next to the two. Hana, just how many explosive notes does Naruto keep on his possession at all times? Kakashi had his brow furrowed as he looked in the distance towards the now obvious signs of smoke. Well, Mom also tells us to have multiple copies at all time if he listened to both the lessons. Probably around a dozen or so. Hana's perky voice seemed to drill into Kakashi and Anko for a second, who both robotically turned to her with looks of shock. A dozen explosive notes? What the hell does that blockhead need with a dozen? From what I saw earlier, if he works with the Uchiha, they can make some damn big explosions already. Hana smiled ruefully as she nodded at Anko. Yeah, Naruto was always kept away from the explosive notes. When he was younger he seemed to take to them very well. When he was young I was always worried he was going to blow Kiba sky high. The girl finished with a laugh as she took in the looks of her comrades. Don't worry though. I'm sure he wouldn't destroy too much of the forest unless there are snakes or spiders. He really hates those things with a passion. Kakashi shook his head while Anko hung hers in embarrassment. I just had to put it near the snake hive, didn't I? Kid probably went after it to get back at me. Hana just giggled at Anko and pulled more food from her bento. I'm just glad that those 3 are progressing as well as they are. By the end of the 3rd day I'll probably even be able to pass on some tricks to them with any luck. Kakashi took a draw from a cup of tea as he watched the area the smoke was coming from. Though I may have to put out that fire if it goes on much longer. Shit, Sasuke, what did you do to make that explosion so massive? Sasuke smirked and looked back at Naruto with a superior look. An idiot like you would never understand. Naruto growled at the boy and leapt up so he was neck and neck with him. Just what the hell is your problem, huh? Thinking you're in charge all the time? Do you need me to remind you who wins our taijutsu fights half the time? Sasuke just gave the boy a smug look and shook his head. Brag about beating me in taijutsu when I have the Sharingan, blockhead. You won't be catching up once that happens. Naruto just continued to growl at the boy as they leaped through the trees. Naruto, leave Sasuke-kun alone. He did most of the work pulling your stuff out of the snake hole. You should show him some gratitude. Sakura jumped up next to the two boys, but reined herself in from acting out. Cha! If it wasn't for that stupid deal with Hana, I'd be punching you into next week right now. Naruto's growl cut off, and he gave the slightest, most imperceptible nod to Sasuke. The other boy smirked and nodded back as they raced through the trees. Before long, the 3 had made it back to their training ground, and began pulling out their cooking equipment and food. Naruto, is all you have ramen and beef jerky? Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head in response. Seriously, no wonder you're so short with a diet like that at this, Naruto growled before snatching the food from Sakura. Just because I decide to eat a little unhealthy when mom's not around doesn't mean anything. Sasuke sneered at that response, storming off to get water from the stream without saying anything. Naruto watched the boy go and felt his frown deepen. What the hell is his problem? Sakura shook her head, her hands trembling in desire to hit the blonde idiot. After a moment she reined her anger in and stared hard at Naruto. What? What did I say? You idiot! Sasuke-kun's had to grow up on his own without any parents ever since the incident with his clan. Naruto felt his eyes widen before smacking himself in the forehead. Heh, I guess even he knows when he deserves to get hit. Damn it, Mom keeps telling me it's important to work on that whole tact thing with those outside the clan. Sakura, seriously, next time I do something so stupid, just smack me one, okay? Sakura blinked before grinning eagerly at the boy. You sure you want to make that deal, Naruto? Naruto blinked in surprise before smacking himself in the forehead again. You know what, never mind. It's more fun to see if I can get you to hit yourself. Kurama gave a small yip of agreement before jumping on top of Naruto's head. Thanks, man. One of these days I swear I'm going to get this whole thinking before I speak thing down. Sasuke walked back into camp at this time, his shoulders slumped from carrying buckets of water. Why would you do that, blockhead? It's more fun hearing what comes out of your second-rate mouth all the time. Naruto gave the boy a wicked look, before shaking his head and sticking his hand out. What's that for? Sasuke's voice was suspicious as he looked at the outstretched appendage. It's called shaking, even dogs know how to do it. As Sasuke scowled at him, Naruto fought the urge to smack himself in the forehead again. It's supposed to be for creating a truce between two groups. Sasuke blinked, before giving an even more curious look to the boy. Why would I want a truce with you? What can you offer me that would make me want to stop arguing with you? Naruto fought down the growl in his throat before smiling wickedly. Well, if you don't, I can use my tracking abilities to help all your fans track you down? Sasuke paled considerably at that before shaking hands with Naruto quickly. That includes helping Sakura too, you know? Unless it's for a team meeting or something. Sakura paled in turn at Sasuke's addendum. Naruto, don't you dare make a truce with Sasuke, damn it. Eternal rivals forever, that's what you two should be. Sakura screamed, trying to jump between the two boys. Kurama yipped in warning, before jumping and scurrying around the girl's neck. You'll help me track down Sasuke-kun, right, Kurama? Unlike Naruto, Kurama yipped in agreement, getting Sakura to snuggle the fox to her chest. You traitor fox. Kurama yipped several things back at Naruto, causing the boy to blush in response. You don't say. You're telling me all about that later, boy. Sakura looked between Naruto and the fox before walking up and smacking Naruto upside the head. It's rude to talk about a lady in front of her, you idiot. Naruto grabbed at his head even as Kurama jumped down and yipped excitedly at Naruto. These three are real idiots sometimes. Still, they're nice enough. So long as they don't distract me too much, maybe it'll be alright to get to know them. Sasuke's scowl lightened ever so slightly as he looked at the three of them. Well, looks like you three made out rather well for yourselves on your first hunting trip. Kakashi walked into the clearing, Hana and Anko flanking behind him. Still, based on that, I'm going to have to confiscate all the rations you have left. Kakashi smirked to himself as he saw the looks of outrage on their faces. Oh, come on now, you didn't think I'd really let you have it that easy now, did you? I had Hana and Anko hide the main packs in places where there were overlaying smells, hoping that would be enough to keep the majority of your stuff hidden. Naruto smirked happily at his accomplishment. Still, you managed to find them, so I'm going to have to change the parameters a bit to make this training exercise worth anything. Kakashi fixed the three with a hard glare. As you know, during training sessions my word is law. You will hand over all foodstuffs now. The camping equipment can stay, as I am impressed. However, you will not challenge me on this, understand? Naruto looked a bit bent out of shape over having to hand over his ramen, but did so reluctantly. Sakura and Sasuke both gave frowns to Kakashi. Naruto, this is your pack, isn't it? I'm going to have to tell Mom that you missed her lectures on eating healthy. Naruto paled considerably as he turned to look at his sister. Come on, sis, you don't need to do that. So what if I packed ramen and beef jerky? How was I supposed to know Kakashi-sensei was going to be this mean? Naruto turned pleading eyes on Hana, who just smirked and shook her head, laughing lightly. Put a can in it, blockhead. We're burning daylight, and we still have to introduce you three to your weapons yet. You'll want to get a handle on them so you can even survive in these damn woods at night. Anko's voice was harsh as she pitched a scroll at each of the genin's feet. Open them up, then pair off. Pinky, you're with me. Duckbutt, you get to work with Kakashi. Spikes, you get to work with Hana. Sakura and Sasuke both gave Anko dirty looks as Naruto felt his grin grow. I knew you had a soft spot for me, you crazy snake lady. I got the only cool name. Naruto felt the familiar feeling of his cheek getting nicked by a kunai. Yeah, and you really don't want to know what I do with the things I like, got that, blockhead? Naruto nodded quickly, making it almost look like his head was going to fall off. Sasuke rolled his eyes at his teammate's antics before pulling his scroll open to reveal a short blade, about as long as his forearm, with a simple handle. Sasuke picked it up and hefted it once, before turning to look at Kakashi. Where are we training at? Kakashi smiled at the boy before disappearing in a burst of speed. Sasuke jumped up and followed after the man. Stop making me look bad, dang it. Naruto quickly opened his scroll and nodded to Hana. The older girl smiled at her younger brother before disappearing with him into the woods. Sakura, for her part, slowly unrolled her scroll, keeping a fearful eye on the now grinning Anko. That's right, just you and me, Pinky. You get to learn firsthand how to use a whip. Sitting there, in front of Sakura, was a metal contraption. It had 9 sections to it, and had a blade at the end. As the girl lifted it up, she noted rectangular flags were attached to the base of the blade. The chain sections were linked together, and as she held it up, Sakura realized that it stretched from her head all the way down to the ground. That's a 9-section whip. You're going to learn how to use it this week, and you are going to learn how to use it first, by having me use it on you, and you watch. Until then, you start with this. Anko pulled what at first looked to be a small snake from her pocket, till Sakura realized it was cured snake hide. That is a black snake whip, and is what you will start with. When you have impressed me enough, you can graduate to the 9-section whip. Anko's smile took on a feral grin. Now then, let me show you why whips and chains excite me. Sakura leapt to her feet and dodged, just in time to see the 9-section whip slash into the ground where she had been standing. A moment later, she felt the effects of a genjutsu setting in, and she forced her chakra through her body to quickly release it. When she did, she found the whip already around her neck. Now tell me, how did I snare you so easily in that genjutsu? Sakura flushed at the closeness of the older woman, who was pressing a kunai in her other hand against Sakura's back. When you struck with it, you channeled genjutsu chakra down the whip and into the colored cloth. Sakura's response came out in gasps at the tightness of Anko's weapon. Hey, you do have a brain. That was very good. Today's first lesson will be in using visual and audio stimuli to generate minor genjutsu. They won't buy you much time in a fight, but you don't need much time if you learn to be ruthless enough. Anko released the girl, who rubbed at her neck absent-mindedly. You first need to manage to make the whip I gave you crack at will. Once you've done that, I'll set up some targets for you. After some target practice, you get to learn how to make a genjutsu from the sounds of a whip cracking, as well as get in some combat practice with using them on me. Anko smiled at the last bit. Of course, I'm not just going to stand there to get whipped, I have to get in on the fun too, you know. Sakura felt her face pale, but she forced herself to stand and look Anko in the eye. Haha, now that's the spirit, Pinky. Let's see if we can get that brain of yours in the right mindset. Anko smirked as she set up targets for the girl, chuckling inwardly to herself. Oh, Ibiki-san, I think I might have found my eventual replacement. Well, your speed is still in need of some work, I can see. Oh well, the tree climbing exercise will help with that, no doubt. Kakashi turned to regard Sasuke calmly, taking in the boy's panting appearance. Right then, you get to learn how to use that tanto of yours. Sasuke stood up, forcing his breath even as he regarded Kakashi carefully. The training sessions between us will consist of me first showing you some basic patterns of movement, and then you repeating them. After an hour of that, we have sparring for 2 hours, where you are to only use the moves that I showed you during the beginning of the session. Sasuke nodded in understanding to Kakashi, but a slight frown was on the boy's face. If you are wondering why I'm having you copy my movements, it is because I feel my Sharingan most active at those times. With any luck, sessions like these will help increase the odds of you awakening yours sooner. Sasuke blinked in surprise at the explanation before grinning widely. Sounds like fun. Let's get started then. Kakashi smiled tiredly at the boy, pulling out a tanto of his own. Sis, why do I have to learn how to use a bow? Sakura and Sasuke get cool weapons, and I'm stuck with a lame old bow. Hana rolled her eyes at her little brother before flicking him lightly in the forehead. Quiet you. The bow is a traditional weapon of the Inuzuka. Our bond with dogs and originally wolves stemmed from our history as hunters. Bows are the ancient weapon of our clan, so you were bound to have to learn how to use one at some point. Naruto frowned at the response, but nodded in agreement. Besides, Kiba doesn't get to start learning how to use his until he's a chunin, so you can brag to him about that later. Hana giggled at the smile that came over the boy's face. Why didn't you say that sooner? Oh man, this is going to be awesome. Hana rolled her eyes again at her brother, and Kurama swatted him with his tail to make the boy quiet down. Thanks, Kurama. The fox gave the girl an appreciative nod. Now then, the thing is, bows are pretty easy to learn how to use, they just require practice. I'm going to leave you to that on your own time. What I want you to focus on is learning how to make the Getsuga pass through into your arrows. Naruto blinked up olishly at his sister, before nodding and putting on his thinking face. So, if the arrows spin like the Getsuga, they should be able to pierce a lot of enemies, but wouldn't the chakra of the Getsuga destroy the arrow? Hana smiled at her younger brother before pulling out some oddly shaped arrows. These are metal chakra arrows. They are a specialty of our clan, and the secret of making them have been passed down for quite a while. You get to learn how to channel your chakra, in the way that Getsuga is performed, into these arrows over the next week. Naruto's eyes seemed to go wide as he looked at the precious tools. Hana smiled at the look, and reached out to ruffle her brother's hair. Now then, I've set up some targets in the woods near here. Let's see if you can find and shoot them all down before our time's up, okay? Naruto nodded and returned to this, pulling his bow out from behind his back. It was a simple black compound bow, seemingly made of the same material as the arrows were. The bow had a heavy feel to it, and as Naruto drew the first arrow, he just knew that it would rip straight through almost any normal target. Alright, I'll get this down in no time, just you watch. Naruto knocked the first arrow as he looked around the woods. Spotting a ramen cup up in one of the trees, Naruto felt his eyes go wide in understanding. You're gonna have me shoot my own food? His look of outrage turned on Hana, who only smiled mischievously. If you don't like my choice in targets, I really will tell Mom what you decided to bring on a long-term survival mission. Her voice was complete sweetness, and Naruto scowled at the girl. You're so mean, sis. I doubt the others have to deal with teachers as mean as you are. 3 hours later found Sakura passed out in a clearing, her body covered by small cuts, and her head resting lightly against a tree. Guess I pushed her a little too far. Still, she's got the fire to master that weapon, so I guess I can let her rest for a bit. Anko looked down at the girl, and realized that she was reminiscing about her few rare good times as a genin. Hey, damn Kakashi, I should be destroying spiders right now, not thinking about helping out some snot-nosed brats. Anko was brought out of her musings as she noticed the approach of Kakashi and Sasuke. Took you too long enough. I just got her worn down before you idiots got here. Anko smirked up at the pair, and noticed Sasuke passing a worried eye over the girl below. She really looks beat up. She may still be the least competent on the team, but at least she's learning to pull her own weight. Sasuke wearily dropped to the ground, wincing in pain at his leg's own protesting. Guess I'm hurting a bit too still. Feels great to get this much training done in such a short amount of time. Sasuke felt himself slide down against the tree, settling in next to the girl. Man, what happened to you two? You look like hell warmed over twice. Naruto landed in the clearing. He looked the least out of shape or breath, and Sasuke scowled up at the boy. Unlike someone else, the two of us just worked our asses off for the last 3 hours. Naruto returned the boy's scowl, before looking away harshly. Sakura woke up at this point, and blinked blearily at the two of them. What's up? Is our week over with already? Sasuke rolled his eyes at the girl and Naruto shook his head ruefully. Sorry, Sleeping Beauty, we still have 6 more days to go until we're released. Sakura blushed at Naruto's compliment, and pulled herself to her feet looking away. Cha! Wish Sasuke-kun would say stuff like that. Ino would never live that one down. Well, now that the 3 of you are up and about, we'll give you a few moments to collect yourselves, and then the 3 of you are going to go head-to-head in a sparring match. That got the reaction Kakashi was hoping for. Naruto and Sasuke both perked right up and seemed to be at attention. Why don't we make it sporting? Kakashi, since the runt has a fox partner, he can fight against Sasuke and Sakura together. Naruto sputtered and turned an angry eye on Anko. This is because I helped blow up your snake nest, isn't it? Anko merely smiled and winked at the boy, making him growl. Come on, second best. You always are spouting off how you're better than me. Well, here's your chance to prove it. Sasuke grinned at Naruto, hoping to goad him into fighting. Now remember, this fight is only taijutsu based. No elemental ninjutsu or genjutsu allowed. Kakashi fished around in his pockets before pulling out 3 more scrolls. These are your training weapons. They are dulled and blunted so as to prevent permanent injury. However, the slashing sections are covered in paint so we know when a direct hit is scored. Naruto gave a feral grin while looking at Sasuke. Let's see those eyes of yours beat me. No. Dukat. Sasuke scowled at the boy and pulled out his own tanto. In an instant, the 3 ninja had disappeared in a blur, fighting on the nearby open clearing. You think it's wise to encourage those 2, Kakashi? They are both alpha males by nature. This keeps up and one of them is really going to hurt the other. Kakashi waved off Hana's concern and gave her a lazy eye. That's why I have you along, Hana. A good medic is there to make sure training accidents in hunter squads don't go too far. I have a lot of hope for this team. I think they are going to do just fine. Hana rolled her eyes at the lazy scarecrow, and tried to hide her worry as she watched their team go at each other viciously. Naruto and Sasuke stood panting, each facing the other. Sakura and Kurama had bowed out a while ago, and now sat on the sidelines, watching the fight silently. Each boy was shaking from the effort of standing, and seemed to be on their last legs. You are a right bastard, you know that, right? Sasuke smirked and nodded at the boy, too weak himself to say anything. The 2 boys rushed forward, each gripping a practice kunai, before thrusting at each other. Sasuke had just enough reach on Naruto for his to land first, and knock the boy to the side. Sorry, but you still come up short. Naruto. Sasuke reached a hand down to help the boy up, and Naruto grabbed on, pulling himself to his feet. That was good, you 3, though. Sakura, you need to continue to work on your stamina once this training mission is over with. Sakura nodded to Kakashi as he approached the clearing. Well, you 3 are done for the day, and there are a few hours left. Hana and Anko have removed the food from the training area, so you're on your own for food for the next couple of days. Good luck, and try not to get killed. We'll stop back in for training tomorrow morning at the same time. Kakashi smiled at the group, and pitched several bottles of water to the kids. Turning, he waved lazily over his shoulder as he exited the clearing. Both boys seized on the water, and immediately began guzzling it down. Sasuke came up first from his drinking, and looked around the training ground. There were small craters here and there from where Sasuke and Naruto had thrown each other. Though he still is second best, he is not a bad opponent in taijutsu. Shaking his head, the boy took another swig of water before looking at the others. We should head back to our campsite. Sakura, even though you bowed out earlier, you still look the most tired, so you should manage the camp while Naruto and I get wood and food. Sakura nodded in acceptance to that, and Kurama raced over to jump on top of Naruto's shoulders. I'll get the food, Sasuke. My Bao will let me hunt things from a distance, and with your fire jutsu you'll be better off starting the fire. Sasuke nodded neutrally as the group turned to go about their evening tasks. Naruto pulled back on the bowstring, watching as the rabbit came into sight. It was a mother rabbit, and Naruto had been following it to her den. Hard to believe that things like rabbits live in this forest, but I guess that the denizens need to live on something. It killed part of the boy to do this, but he knew that predators and prey were a part of the brutal circle of life. Drawing the string back to its utmost, Naruto sighed in and out, waiting for the rabbit to pause in the clearing. The rabbit suddenly froze as it placed itself in front of a small hole. Kurama had slinked into the clearing, and was giving off a low growl. The rabbit found itself torn between placing itself between its family and its predator, and running. It was then that Naruto loosed the arrow, turning away right before the shot struck home. Naruto swallowed hard as he stood in front of the slain rabbit, and turned himself away from the sight of Kurama fishing the baby rabbits from out of the den. They were fairly large, which was good. With 6 of them, that meant enough meat for tonight and the morning. Still, Naruto had to fight to keep his gag reflex down as he skinned them. When Naruto returned to the clearing, he saw a small fire going, and that Sasuke and Sakura had scrounged up enough tubers for a small stew. Naruto stepped into the clearing, the meat being carried in a net bag. He set it down near the fire and started cooking it. Upon seeing his downtrodden face, neither Sasuke nor Sakura knew what to say. Sakura came over to the fire first, pulled out the meat, and skewered it, sticking it into the fire. She noticed Naruto look away as he did so, and Kurama duck his head, curling into Naruto's neck. "Thank you, Naruto. Without this, we might not have the strength to go on tomorrow." Naruto's head came around at that, and Sakura had to fight to continue while faced with the grief in his eyes. "Thank you, and I'm sorry for the way I acted earlier. You're a really dependable teammate, and I'm glad I get to work with you." Naruto bit back his words, his face going hard as he struggled not to say anything stupid. "What she said, Inuzuka? I appreciate what you've done, and will take on some of the burden tomorrow as well." Naruto looked up in surprise at Sasuke, who had a neutral, but appreciative look on his face. Naruto felt the pain leave his face, but nodded in agreement. With that, the 3 turned and looked into the fire, each silently awaiting their coming meal. "Well, the days sure have passed quickly, haven't they, guys?" Kakashi looked over his group of genin, and smiled at each of them. They had on the same outfits as when they went into the woods, but the man could see that the team that had gone in had not come out. Sakura had her whip positioned at her hip, and seemed to brush her hands over it quite often. The girl had worked the hardest overall after the first day, and had even gotten Anko to hand over the 9th section whip already, a testament to her blossoming skill. Sasuke seemed to grip his tanto tightly at all times, his hands constantly sheathing and unsheathing it, just to hear the sound the weapon made. Naruto had matured quite a bit, becoming quieter and checking over his bow every evening. He cleaned it religiously, and kept the arrows clean at all times. Still, Kakashi took pride in the fact that the 3 seemed to like working with each other, and had really developed into a team after a week from hell. "Yeah, but you rookies are nowhere near as green as when you started. I think the Hokage should have this be mandatory for new teams to go through at some point. It really helped you 3 out a lot. I can't even call you all blockheads anymore." The 3 kids smirked at Anko, each remembering their training with them in their own specific ways. "That's right, from now on, you 3 have graduated to grunts and underlings, people I have to give some grudging respect." All 3 kids rolled their eyes at the woman, but smiles were on each of their faces, except Sasuke, who continued with a slight scowl. "Come on, you 3 worked hard. I personally am most proud of Sakura, she improved the most drastically, I'd say." Hana smiled at the girl. Though their first introduction had been rough, they had gotten to know each other better throughout the week and had really bonded. "Thanks, Hana-senpai. I'm going to keep working on those scrolls you left me, and become a medic in no time." "Same to you, Anko-senpai. I promise I'll work really hard and make you both proud." The 2 women smiled at Sakura, Anko coming up to muss her hair a bit and lean in close to the girl's ear. "Just remember what I said, dress like you mean business after this, keep the hair in a bun," and Sakura blushed slightly, already knowing what was coming next. The more repressed a guy is, the hotter it will be when he finally cuts loose. Sakura fought off the nosebleed and her desire to look at Sasuke. That was one thing Anko had beaten into her head the whole week, was how tough guys like him did not want fangirls following after him. "Well, I'll see you at home later, okay, Naruto?" Naruto nodded at Hana, who came over and crushed him into a hug. "And if you ever need help again, just let me know, okay?" Naruto tried to squirm away as he heard Sakura giggle and saw Sasuke smirk at him lightly. "Alright, I get it, sis, now let me go." Hana just smirked and ruffled his hair before running over to Kakashi. "Keep them safe for me, will you?" Kakashi nodded before the girl jumped off into the trees. "Alright, you 3, since the day is still young, we're going to go get you your first ninja mission." Naruto and Sasuke each grinned at the other, and Sakura smiled lightly as they followed Kakashi out of the training ground that had been their home for a week. "Man, I can't wait to get our first ninja mission. I bet it's going to be something really awesome, you know?" Naruto chattered excitedly to Sakura, who just smiled at the boy and shook her head. "Knowing you, it'll get way more complicated. Just because you're on the mission, it's probably going to be something really simple and you'll turn it into a huge mess." Sakura ribbed Naruto lightly in the side, showing him he was joking. Naruto grinned back at the girl and put his hands behind his head, causing Kurama to stir and nuzzle against his cheek appreciatively. "Yeah, but with you and Sasuke there, we'll be able to handle just about anything that gets thrown at us." Sasuke smirked lightly, and nodded at the boy in agreement. "Hey, Kakashi-sensei, thanks to that awesome training we did with you, what kind of mission can we take now, huh? Something really awesome and cool, right?" Kakashi hid his face behind his orange book as he turned a lazy eye on the boy. Oh, with that sort of training, I'd say you can take the missions most kids your age take. Naruto turned a puzzled look on the man. That training really wasn't enough to set you three apart from other kids your age. It was just enough for me to feel positive about working with kids like you. Naruto looked at the man in sheer outrage, and Kurama began to growl lowly. Now, calm down. You three are lucky I even pass you, as there was no need for me to take on a team. I haven't done so in the 10 years I've been a jonin, so don't think I couldn't have refused. As long as we keep getting stronger at the rate we have been, I don't care if you insult us. I'll at least admit that your methods are effective. Sasuke's cool voice cut through the tension, and got Naruto to give him an equal nod of understanding. The teamwork between those two has been steadily improving. I think, for now at least, Naruto has accepted that Sasuke is stronger than him. How long that lasts still remains to be seen. Kakashi giggled to keep up the guise of reading his book in public, then flicked through a page absent-mindedly. In truth, he had read this story so many times that he had the story memorized. Still, it kept people away when he kept up appearances, so what was the harm? Kakashi did not even look up from his book as they entered the briefing room. He noticed another team of genin leaving, and smiled at the looks of boredom on some of the genins' faces. Someone just got their first D-rank mission. Kakashi smiled as his team approached the table. Though it was necessary that his team complete a number of D-rank missions before taking a C-rank, he honestly couldn't wait for the team to progress far enough to get the harder missions. Kakashi, I was wondering when you were going to show up with your team. I take it the training has gone well. All three of Kakashi's subordinates were surprisingly quiet and well-behaved. I have to hand it to Tsum-san, those obedience lessons for Naruto were really damn useful. Kakashi nodded to the third Hokage, who smiled in return as he looked through his files. The training was successful, Hokage-san, and I am now more than ready to vouch for the readiness of this team to execute any and all missions you deem them capable of. The third chuckled at that, looking over the genin carefully. Well, I have the perfect mission for your team, Kakashi, especially considering that they managed to pick up one of your nastier habits about being tardy. Kakashi felt his gut clench suddenly as he turned a pleading look on his leader. The nin registration cards, the ones necessary for the ninja of this village, are all tardy for your genin. It seems none of them could be bothered to come in and get that done during their week off after graduation, and then they were all whisked off to some training mission that kept them busy. As the third trailed off, he saw all three of Kakashi's students whip their eyes towards the man with a disapproving look on their faces. As such, they will need to have a day off to rest and recover, then come in and take their photos tomorrow. The day after, I'll be allowing them to begin taking missions, and their first will be filing their nin registration cards properly, along with re-registering all the others that have had to be held up while we waited on them. However, as they are freeing me and my staff of one or more onerous tasks, I'll give half the pay up front as a sign of generosity. Sarutobi felt his grin spread across his face as he looked at Kakashi, who seemed to be furiously trying to remain aloof of the situation despite the 6 pairs of eyes that were boring holes into him. Kakashi gave a nod of confirmation, before turning on his heel and leaving the mission hallway. As he did so, he soon found Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura following behind him, the sound of grinding teeth obvious. And remember, Kakashi, next time I want their paperwork filed on time. Kakashi felt sweat bead the back of his head as he exited the Hokage Tower. Well, you all heard the mission brief, right? I think I'll even be generous and give you all tomorrow off as well from training, so after your nin registration is processed, you can just go home and relax for the day. Kakashi tried to keep his voice positive and upbeat as he stared down the murderous looks from Sasuke and Naruto. Hopefully that extra bit of relaxation will get them to forget about this letdown a little bit. Sakura still was rather miffed, but she seemed to be taking it better than Sasuke and Naruto had. You knew that something like this was going to happen, didn't you? Kakashi straightened a bit at Naruto's tone, the accusation biting deep into him. You must have known that we hadn't filed our nin registration yet, so why didn't you remind us? Isn't that the job of the jonin sensei? To remind students of important parts of ninja life? Kakashi just chuckled at that, and rubbed the back of his head absent-mindedly. Well, you got me there, but look at it this way, you all just got your first experience with getting lost on the path of life. Kakashi moved quickly to the side as a tanto, arrow, and whip occupied the space he was last in a moment ago. Well, I'll see you all here the day after tomorrow then, take care until then. Kakashi disappeared in a swirl of leaves, deciding to leave his young charges to fend for themselves. That guy, I'm really starting to get the feeling that I hate that guy. Naruto grit out between his teeth, his hand still on his bowstring. No kidding, training us until we were up to his standard. Maybe we should give him punctuality lessons until he's up to ours. Sasuke grit out, stooping to pick his tanto up from the ground. Sakura took that moment to stretch and yawn, winding her whip back into her pocket. Well, I don't know about you two, but this first paycheck of ours is burning a hole in my pocket. I think I'm going to go get myself a bit of a new outfit. Naruto sighed theatrically while grinning at Sakura. Give a girl a bit of money, and she goes and blows it on clothes, as Sasuke? Sasuke grinned, and shook his head ruefully at his teammates. However, he did nothing to disagree with him. You want me repeating that to Hana-senpai Naruto? She did say I could come over and work with her whenever I needed help. Naruto straightened and gave the girl a wide-eyed stare of fear. No, that's okay, Sakura-chan. Just forget I said anything, okay? Sakura smiled, but nodded at the boy. That's better. Alright, then I'll see you guys in a day or two. Bye Naruto, Sasuke-kun. Sakura turned and took to the streets, dashing off towards the shopping district. Hell, well, looks like it's just the two of us now as Sasuke. Naruto turned to his right to see the boy was already missing. Sasuke? Damn it, I hate it when the bastard does that. Oh well, might as well go get myself something to eat. Naruto felt his grin grow as he looked out on the village. There are a few hours before Mom would even expect me back from the mission, more than enough to eat a couple bowls of ramen. Naruto grinned to himself as he leapt into motion, streaking into the heart of the village. Sakura looked around the village, skipping to herself lightly as she twirled her whip absently in one hand. As she rounded a corner, she came across a local ninja shop that seemed to be having a grand opening sale. Well, that looks like the perfect spot to spend this money, Sakura thought to herself as she walked in. The sign said that they carry ninja outfit and clothing, which got the girl's eyes to go wide in desire. Cha! With a new outfit, I might be able to look professional and sexy for Sasuke-kun. Sakura felt her eyes go wide as she looked through the store. There were really good items in here, a lot of them were cheap, and the outfits looked great. As Sakura looked around, she found herself drawn towards the half-kimono section more and more. One seemed to be calling out to her as she looked at it. The kimono was a deep red, and cut off at around hip height. The sleeves of the outfit went to the elbows, and there was white trim around the edges and center wrap parts. An obi wrapped around the middle was a caked blood red, but was silky to the touch. There was a matching set of black shinobi shorts to go with it, and it came standard with full body mesh, as well as shin and arm-plated guards. As Sakura looked at it, she realized that with the price tag she'd be able to afford 2 outfits, and only because everything was half off. Still, this thing is incredibly awesome, I need to get this. Sakura memorized the number of the outfit, and went up to the counter, her head spinning with the possibilities for the new style. Hi, my name is Tenten. Welcome to the Aoyama Weapons and Ninja Gear Shop. Sakura blinked as she looked at the girl behind the counter. She had on a pink Chinese dress, with brown hair in buns, and deep chocolate eyes. So, did you find anything you like? Sakura nodded to the girl, trying not to think how much she reminded her of a panda. Yes, I'd like 2 outfits of number 742 please. I like your dress as well, I've never seen one like it before. Tenten flushed at the girl, but nodded as she wrote down the number. Yeah, my dad and I are immigrants to the village. We moved here only recently from one of the small nearby countries, I'd say around 10 years ago or so. Sakura nodded and smiled at the girl. It was nice to talk with someone in her age group. Sakura hadn't realized it, but the sudden absence of her female compatriots from the academy was weighing on her slightly. Oh, that's nice. Sakura noticed the headband wrapped around the girl's waist, and blinked at it in surprise. Oh, so you're a kunoichi as well. Sakura tapped the one on her hip, next to her 9-section whip. Tenten nodded, and then seemed to get a far-off look in her eyes as she stared at Sakura's waist. Sakura backed away slightly from the girl, a bit worried from the frenzied look in her eyes. Is that a 9-section whip? How long have you been training with one of those? Dad won't let me anywhere near one yet. Sakura was taken aback by the girl's freakishly obsessive focus on her weapon, and hesitantly pulled it out. Yeah, I've only had it for a week or so I'm just still getting used to making it move how I want. Sakura was shocked by the girl's sudden reining in of energy. Oh, so you're not a weapons specialist? I just thought that I finally found another is all. Sakura sighed in relief at the girl, before smiling lightly. Sorry about that, but I want to specialize in genjutsu, medicine, and interrogation. I don't have much interest in weapons specialization. Tenten frowned lightly at the girl but then seemed to perk up suddenly. Well, good luck with that. I'm glad to see another girl my age who's serious about ninja training. My dad thought I was crazy for pursuing ninja work, saying I was only in it for the chance to get with the shinobi boys. Sakura paled lightly at that and let out a bit of a forced laugh. I really have to thank Enko-senpai for helping me to get at least slight control over my fangirl nature. Sakura reached into her purse and pulled out her pay for the upcoming mission, handing it over to the girl behind the counter. Yeah, well, I have to be slightly serious with the guys I got on my team. Tenten laughed at that and shook her head in response. Trust me, I understand. Let me guess, one's a complete spazzoid, and the other has a real serious, brooding attitude. Sakura giggled honestly at that, and smiled as she took the clothes from Tenten. Yep, that sounds like the two of them, spot on. My name's Sakura, by the way, we should meet up sometime to hang out. Tenten smiled and nodded. I'd like that. It gets a little bit tiring spending all my time with my team sometimes. If you want, I can hold on to some of those outfits. They aren't selling really well right now, so you can even get them on sale still if you come back soon enough. Sakura smiled and picked the bags up off the floor, turning to leave. That sounds great. Thanks a lot. Well, I'll see you later, Tenten. Tenten smiled and waved as the girl walked out the door. Sakura made her way down the street, her arms laden with her bags of clothes. As she approached her house, Sakura felt her stomach clench in anticipation. Please let them be out, please let them be out. Sakura carefully opened the door, and was relieved to see a house empty of people. The girl sighed in relief, and ran upstairs to her room quickly. She pulled her clothes out, and placed them in her closet, then silently made her way downstairs. She noticed that the door was still open, and as she reached to close it she heard footsteps coming from down the street. Please don't stop at the doorway, please don't stop at the doorway. The footsteps stopped right in front of Sakura, even as she held the doorknob in her hand. So you're finally back. And from the look of you, you didn't even put that much work into your first mission. Well, those that don't work hard, don't deserve to eat. That's the house rule, isn't it? Sakura tried to take a step back as a grizzled man walked into the house. He seemed to tower over the girl as he stood in the doorway. I asked you a question, damn it! The man's arm winged out and caught Sakura in the face, knocking her to the floor. The girl struggled to not show any emotion. Emotion was a weakness, and was met with more punishment. Despite her best efforts, a single tear trailed down her face. Are those tears? Did my little love tap hurt your feelings? The man kicked the door closed behind him absently, turning a sneer on the girl. You know, I never feel bad smacking around shit like you, so worthless, so little fight in you. It's no wonder you'll never make it anywhere. As a kunoichi, Sakura felt her hand tighten around the black snake whip at her waist, and she slashed it in front of herself as the man approached to grab her. The whip snapped in front of her, and for a second the man looked at the whip in astonishment. By the time he'd shaken off the slight shock of the genjutsu, he was alone in the room. She's getting a spine after all. I'll have to inform Danzo-sama of this. The grizzled man walked to the door behind him and closed it, locking it and settling down onto the couch. His face was a mask of nothingness as he settled into the couch, pulling out a small scroll to scribble notes in it. Sakura held her knees to herself as she sat in her room, fighting hard to keep the sounds of her tears down to a minimum. I can't believe I did that. When Mom finds out she'll be so mad. Trying not to think of the beating that was awaiting her, Sakura fought to smother her outburst as she clutched her knees to her chest. I wish Sasuke was here. He knows how to shut out the emotions. Maybe if I get close to him, I can learn how to do that too. Sakura kept trying to keep her tears in check as she sat against the door, keeping an ear out for the approach of footsteps. Naruto walked down the streets of Konoha, making his way further into the residential district. As he did, he noticed a smell coming from a small stand, and smiled when he saw that it was selling ramen. Before he entered, he heard a familiar voice from outside, and keened his ears to try to pick out who was there. I'm telling you, Mizuki, the kid picked up the echolocation jutsu like it was nothing. I swear, that Naruto kid is going to go farther than the Uchiha. Naruto felt himself begin to smile, and feel his head inflate at that. I think you're seeing too much into it, Irika. The kid's chakra is astonishing, and his teamwork with his fox is impressive, but I'm still going to bet on the Sharingan. Naruto frowned at that, and entered the stand, a scowl set on his face. Kurama perked up from Naruto's shoulder, sniffing the air before jumping down onto the counter and yipping excitedly. Speak of the devil himself. Mizuki turned to see Naruto scowling at him as he sat at the bar. I heard what you said, Mizuki-sensei, and I can't wait to beat the bastard just to prove Irika-sensei right. Kurama nipped at Naruto's hand playfully, getting the blonde to turn towards the offered menu. See, with that kind of spirit there's no way that Naruto won't end up being the best on his team. Mizuki just rolled his eyes at the two, smiling lightly as he looked them over. You two are really something, you know. Acting like hopefulness will get you everywhere. Mizuki paid for his meal before standing up to leave. Irika waved the other man off and turned back to his meal. Well, what do you have, kid? Naruto turned to see an older gentleman, with a smiling face and thin grew eyebrows looking at him kindly. He had a smile on his face, and was wearing an apron and a ramen chef hat, emblazoned with the shop logo. I'll have a large serving of miso ramen with a roasted pork fillet. The old man smiled and nodded to Naruto, and turned to get his order ready. Hey, Irika-sensei, sorry about that earlier, but Sasuke really has been annoying when he insists that he's better than me lately. Kurama barked in agreement, coming over to rest on Naruto's shoulders once more. It's alright, it's normal for boys your age to fight and bicker. Still, I hope you haven't let it get in the way of your teamwork. Naruto shook his head in the negative, and gave Irika a thumbs-up gesture. Nah, me and the duck are getting along a lot better now. We sort of reached a truce of some sort, so we're more supportive of each other now. Irika smiled at that, and noted with some surprise the bow on the boy's back. I'm glad to hear that. Say, did you already start picking up some weapons training? Naruto grinned in response, running a hand behind his head along the bow's back and idly checking the quiver at his waist. Yeah, Kakashi-sensei has us taking on weapons and some elemental training already. We just got back from a week of survival exercises with him, Hanane-chan, and Anko-senpai. Irika turned a surprised eye on the bow, but nodded in approval. Well, since you're improving so quickly, how about I treat you to ramen this time? The boy turned smiling eyes on Iruka, and nodded in response. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. You always were one of the best for making sure that we all worked hard. I really appreciated the time you took with us at the academy. Iruka flushed slightly at the boy's compliment, and leaned over to ruffle the boy's hair. Kurama yipped in surprise at the movement, but looked to agree with Iruka's contact nonetheless. Well then, here's to hoping that we get a new best customer out of this deal. Here you are, kid. The name's Tuchi, by the way. Naruto smiled and shook hands with the man, giving an equal smile in return. My name is Inuzuka Naruto, and since Iruka-sensei eats here, I'm sure the food is great. The old man smiled as he shook hands with the boy, and smiled as he watched the fox nip away some of the boy's food when he wasn't looking. Hey, Kurama, that was mine. Naruto pouted at the fox as it wolfed down the bit of meat it had stolen away. I was going to give you half, you could have waited. That being said, Naruto picked out some more of the meat and tossed it to the fox. If you come here, you'll be joining a long line of patronage when it comes to this stand. It served me, and several other famous ninja of Konoha in times past. Naruto turned to Iruka with a puzzling look on his face. It's true, kid, this stand has been around for close to 20 years, and we often get customers that hail from the elites of the village. Naruto felt his eyes go wide in appreciation, before smiling between the two men. In that case, I'm going to come here after every mission I go on, just to make sure that I can meet all these badass people you serve. Naruto then turned and began to dig into his food, getting laughs from both of the older man. Sasuke stared at the leaf in his fingertips, trying to glare the thing into submission. No matter how much he tried, he could not get this training down. All you have to do is make the leaf turn black from heat, without lighting it on fire. The ability to both heat the leaf and control the heating is necessary for the proper mastery of fire jutsu. Despite Kakashi's description making it sound easy, the training was anything but. For the last several hours, Sasuke had sat in his small apartment, the measly early payment for a bogus mission forgotten by his doorstep. I swear there has to be a faster way than this to gain power. But Kakashi did seem to be taking us seriously. Sasuke refocused his effort on the leaf in his grasp, closing his eyes to enhance his focus. When he opened them again, he smirked at seeing a small corner of the leaf near his fingers blacken. As his smirk grew, he felt his focus slip, and suddenly the leaf burst into flame, causing Sasuke to drop the thing suddenly. Damn it, now I have to start over again. Sighing, the last of the loyal Uchiha reached into a bag of leaves he had, and pulled the next one up to start with. Alright, now I just have to not burn a leaf. Sakura looked outside her window, noticing the light had started to fade. She had heard her adoptive father sneak into the bedroom on the first floor an hour ago, and most of her tears had stopped by now. With any luck, she could make it down the stairs and nick some food from the kitchen. Standing up, the girl held her breath, then released it in a slow, even process. Once we start taking missions, I can move out on my own. If only Sasuke would rescue me from this, he'd never get beat or hit. He's too good for that. Sakura shook her head to clear it from her musings, turning to silently open the door to her room. With practiced steps, the young girl made it down the stairs, and turned towards the small kitchen. This was the hardest part, as the kitchen was right next to her foster parents' room. Though they had never told her that they were her foster parents, Sakura knew her time in the academy had taught her a little about genetics, and once she had learned enough to realize that her parents could not have passed on her strange hair and eye color, she had become very distrusting of her home condition. As Sakura quietly entered the kitchen, she made sure to keep an eye constantly on the door to her foster parents' room, her senses honed for the slightest sound of movement. If I get caught, it's 2 nights without food. I have to be careful, as I won't get another payday for the next 2 days. Sakura moved forward, and placed her hand on the fridge, slowly opening it to look inside. There were a few large bowls of rice, and a couple things of cooked beef and chicken. Grabbing a couple of the things quickly, the girl closed the fridge silently and turned to leave the kitchen. As she did, she heard footsteps approaching the door to the house, and quickly flushed herself into one of the shadows behind a plant in the living room. She hid herself with a slight hinge and prayed. The footsteps continued to approach the door, and stopped in front of the house. The girl felt her breath catch in her throat. The sound of a lighter was heard, and the footsteps moved off with the sound of a man taking a smoke. Sakura let out her breath slowly and evenly before turning and fleeing up the stairs. The morning rolled over the Leaf Village early and bright. Sakura found herself rolling out of bed, and smiled as she pulled on her new wardrobe. That bastard didn't try anything last night either, so that means I'm not going to get into trouble for using the whip to run away. Maybe it makes them think I'm more competent than I was before. Sakura pulled the mesh armor over her torso and waist, feeling it settle onto her limbs heavily. The kimono wrapped around her well, and before long her hair was up behind her head in a loose knot. Looking over herself, the girl nodded once, finding the new look was professional while still managing to be stylish. Sakura pulled the plated arm covers onto her arms, and then looked at herself in the mirror, where she smiled at the reflection. For the first time since she started her ninja training, she looked serious and determined about her career. Why did I even start the training in the beginning? before I decided to compete with Ino for Sasuke. Sakura found herself looking in the mirror, feeling the pain of old memories pull at her psyche. Shaking herself harshly from the troubling thoughts, the girl strapped both of her whips to her waist before turning to leave. She pulled open the window near her bed, and then disabled the trap she had set on the outside. She reset it before turning to leave, jumping across the rooftops towards the Hokage tower. Maybe if I get my picture taken care of earlier in the day, I can spend some more time hanging out with Tenten this afternoon. Sakura smiled at the thought, and sprinted towards the Hokage tower. Naruto yawned as he rolled out of bed and stretched. He grinned to himself as he scratched Kurama idly behind the ears. The affection caused the fox to lean into the chair just a little bit, and the boy smiled at the reaction. Naruto lazily went about pulling his outfit on, turning to look at the empty bed of his brother. It hurt to admit that Kiba had gotten a C-rank mission before him, but still the boy had been a ninja just as long as him, and it was a C-rank within the village, so he had no reason to worry. Still, I wanted to show off my bow to him, maybe get him to finally stop it with all that little brother crap. Naruto frowned as he stood up and stretched, before going about his regular morning routine. Once he was finished, he brought himself to the kitchen table, yawning as he opened the fridge and pulled out some leftovers from the night before. So the mighty returned from their first week of ninja training. How was it? Sim walked into the kitchen, ruffling Naruto's hair and setting a bowl of food down for Kurama, who jumped to the floor. It was really good, Mom. We got to practice all sorts of stuff, and Kakashi-sensei even gave us some jutsu to practice for the next little while. Sim frowned at this slightly and held out a hand in a demanding nature. Naruto sighed and pulled the jutsu scroll out from his pocket. In an instant, the Inuzuka clan head was looking over the jutsu listing, trying to figure out whether or not she should be mad at the man. After a couple of moments, and some nods, Sim handed it back. I'm alright with you working on the wind bullet and wind shell, but leave off on the wind claws for a bit yet. She saw the boy frown at that, and Sim held up a hand to silence the coming crocodile tears. The wind bullet and wind shell will give you a range attack and a basic weapon defense. If anyone closes with you, your Getsuga should be more than enough. Naruto frowned but nodded his agreement. Sim smirked and ruffled his hair, before pulling down a cup from a cabinet above her. Hey Mom, Sis also wanted me to work on combining the Getsuga with my arrows. Should I give that precedence over either of those two? Sim smirked at the question before pausing to give it some serious thought. Don't divert anything for it, but definitely make sure you're practicing combining wind chakra with the Getsuga when you fire the arrows. Trust me, the results will be worth it. Naruto smiled at that, and Sim gave the boy a grin before settling herself down at the table. Kiba and Hana are going to be gone for the next couple of days, and I have a big mission coming up. Naruto frowned as he turned to look at his mom. So I'm on my own for the next couple of days? Sim nodded at the boy, who frowned at the sudden lack of companionship. Don't worry too much about it. I'll leave enough food for you and Kurama, and if you want I can get some others from the family to stop by and check in on you. Naruto shook his head at that, and smiled up at his mom. I'll be alright. With Kurama here I'll be just fine. Naruto kept his voice steady, trying not to let the thought of a house to himself freak him out. Besides, I have my Nin registration card picture today, so I have to look awesome for it. Sim smirked and cuffed the boy round the head in a caring manner. You brat, that was supposed to be in a week ago. Don't tell me that you missed getting it in on time because of that lazy sensei of yours. Naruto chuckled as he finished his food before grabbing Kurama and ducking out the door. Fine, I won't tell you then. But I have to go make sure my picture is awesome for the Nin registration cards, for sure. Naruto turned and jumped out the door, racing off to the tower. Yeah, he's turned out alright. I better get going too though, I'm due at the gate soon. Naruto sat at the photo booth, waiting for the man to take the picture. Are you sure you want to take the picture this way, kid? Once I take it, there's no going back. Yeah, I'm sure. Just take the damn thing. Naruto growled out, focusing on making as feral a look as he could. As you wish, the short man grumbled and bumbled behind a curtain, getting an old camera to work as he looked through the viewscope. Just don't regret it. Okay, smile. A camera flash later captured Naruto, with a transformed Kurama standing back to back. Both of them had a cruel grin on their faces, and their whisker marks were stretched to the extremes. The slit eyes and red color made the boy look completely monstrous. Hiruzen Sarutobi fought back a sigh as he looked at the image in front of him. Well, at least he wasn't wearing some crazy face paint or something still. With a caption like that, the third did sigh the second time, and he shot the boy a disgruntled look. In this picture are the handsome and devilish foxes of Konoha, Inuzuka, Naruto, and the great Kurama. With a title like that, and those eyes, there's no way that some of the more paranoid people won't start making guesses about what the boy might hold. Not that I thought we could keep it a secret much longer. Sarutobi took a draw on his pipe, and fixed the boy with a stronger look. Plus, from the way he's ignoring my disapproving glances, he'll probably refuse to retake it. Oh well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Setting the pipe aside, the old man hardened his look on the boy, before clearing his throat slightly. Retake the photo. Naruto shot the old man a dirty look and huffed. And why should I do that? I know Kiba took his photo with Akamaru transformed, so why should I let him get all the fun? Sarutobi drew back at that. The boy had a legitimate point, and countering it would be necessary if he was going to get the photo retaken. Your forehead protector's not anywhere in the picture. Naruto frowned at that, before noting that the old man was right. His forehead protector was located around his waist, and while Naruto was fairly sure that things like that were allowed, he still was slightly unsure on the rules. So if I put the forehead protector on my arm and retook it, then it would be okay? The third fought off sighing as he tried to figure out how to explain that a transformed Naruto just would not be alright in the shinobi databooks. As he was about to do so, a small creak echoed from outside the room. Turning in time to see a familiar skull cap of leather, the third heaved a small sigh in preparation. Here it comes 20 in one day is a little ridiculous. Fight me, you old geezer! A small boy, with a blunted rubber shuriken, ran into the room. His eyes were beady, and he was missing a tooth that had obviously recently fallen out. His hair was sticking out of a small skull cap, and he had a large scarf wrapped around his neck. Naruto felt himself stiffen as he took in the odd image of the boy, while he was trying to assess whether or not the kid was an actual threat. Just as Naruto was about to stand up, the boy fell to the floor, planting his face like turnip. That brat can never be a threat to the Hokage. As Naruto thought this, a voice called out from outside the door. Oh no, not again. Ah. There you are, honorable grandson. A tall jonin darted into the room. His eyes were set behind a pair of black shades, and he wore a standard all-black shinobi outfit, with a leaf headband strapped around his forehead. Damn it! Who set a trap? Naruto looked between the loud kid and the taller jonin, clearly lost as to what was going on at the moment. Are you alright? And there isn't a trap anywhere. The older man adjusted his glasses, storming into the room. Who the hell is this kid? He's really freaking annoying, Naruto puzzled, trying to figure out just what was happening. Kurama at that point jumped down from Naruto's neck and started growling at the boy. Hey, what's with that face, huh? The kid on the floor jumped up and ran over towards Naruto, drawing the older jonin's stare. So, an Inuzuka, huh? Just my luck. Running into one of those mangy mutts. The older jonin's face held a look of utter disdain as he looked at Naruto. It must have been you who set the trap. The kid came up and tried to grab Naruto to pull him down to his level, only for the larger boy to hoist him up by his scarf. I didn't set any trap. You tripped over your own 2 feet, you idiot. Kurama barked in agreement at that, turning to growl at the larger jonin at the same time. Hey, you Inuzuka mutt, let go of him right now. That's the Hokage's grandson. Naruto turned his gaze from the kid he had in his hands to give the jonin a once-over. Yeah, he looks like the obnoxious type that would look down on our clan. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead and punch me. The kid in Naruto's arm grit out, a look of anger set on his face. Now that he knows who I am, he won't dare hurt me. Heh, he's just like Ebisu sensei and everyone else. The kid was so lost in his own thoughts that he missed Naruto cock back an arm before smashing it down on top of his skull. If you're the grandson of the Hokage, then you really need to have some better manners. Beat into you, you idiot. Ebisu blanched at the attack. No way. He just hit Konohamaru. Before he could say anything, he heard a sigh from the third. Ebisu, take the day off. I think my grandson here has had enough studying for today, so Naruto, I'm assigning you the solo mission of taking care of him for the day. Naruto turned to give him pleading eyes. But I was going to train and stuff. The Hokage gave the boy a questioning look, and held his registration page over a small trash can near the side of his desk. You'll really make me retake that if I don't do this, won't you? The third nodded, to which Naruto let out a huge sigh in return, before turning to give the brat next to him a foul glare. Alright, come on kid, let's get out of here. I'm going to leave first, and your job is to try to sneak up on me, okay? Naruto directed this to the small boy next to him, who was still idly rubbing his head inside. If Kiba ever hears about this, he'll never let me live this down. Kurama just barked idly before settling back atop Naruto's shoulders. As complacent as Kurama looked, it didn't stop the fox from growling slightly at Ebisu as they left. Naruto groaned as he peeked a look behind him. As he did so, he made out the obvious form of Konohamaru, poorly hidden behind a sheet drape to match the woodwork of a nearby fence. Man, you suck at this, kid. Anyone could see through that. Kurama yipped in agreement from atop the blonde boy's head. It's impressive that you can always see through my disguises. I guess the rumors about the Inuzuka are true. Naruto fought back the urge to yell at the brat again. Just because I'm Inuzuka has nothing to do with this. The brat just plain sucks. Naruto fought the urge down to yell once more as the kid approached him. Hey, I'll make you my leader. My boss. Naruto frowned down at the boy, a puzzled look on his face. And in exchange, Naruto gave the boy a frowning looking once more. Please teach me some awesome moves so I can defeat my grandpa. Please, boss. Boss, I'd actually get to be in charge of someone for once. Well, I do know that the Hokage reads those same books as Kakashi sensei, so he might be a bit of a pervert, and it would get the kid to master the transformation jutsu. So, Lord Hokage, are you sure it was wise to trust Konohamaru to that Inuzuka? The Hokage merely chuckled at Ebisu before lighting his pipe once more. I wouldn't worry too much about it, Ebisu. Besides, you looked like you needed a break anyways. Ebisu frowned at the Hokage, looking like he wanted to say more. That Inuzuka is also one of the best his clan has produced in years, and he even has the great Hatake Kakashi as his instructor. Ebisu felt his blood run cold as he looked at the Hokage. Lord Hokage, Hatake-san might be a great warrior, but he has a number of personality traits that I wouldn't trust Konohamaru to not pick up. The Hokage blinked at the man, asking him to continue. He's a well-known pervert, and habitually tardy. What would it do to Konohamaru's image if he started to pick up those traits? Before the Hokage could blink, Ebisu had worked himself into a tizzy over the various disreputable behaviors that his charge would acquire. Wait, it really won't be. The Hokage was left speaking to an empty room. Problem. The third sighed and took a long drag on his pipe, idly waiting for the next team to come in for a mission request. Still, that is the 20th attack in one day, and Ebisu has a point about Naruto being apprenticed to a pervert. Hopefully Konohamaru won't pick up something incredibly stupid from the boy. Looking around briefly, the Hokage pulled out his crystal ball before he set it spinning to the hot springs of Konoha. Oh well, might as well enjoy a view or two while I wait for the next team.